Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm, and you're watching third part of What If Naruto Was Saved by Sand Siblings. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen participate in the Kiri obstacle course. Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen were sprinting through the forest when they entered the training grounds. "Wow, this is a thick mist," Naruto exclaimed. "Hey guys, slow it down. I'm having trouble seeing what's up ahead." Karen nodded as Kurumi said, "Hey Karen, can you use your mind's eye to see up ahead?" "Okay," Karen replied, gesturing with her hand to indicate that she had activated her sensor ability. Karen then searched the area for any signs of chakras. "I see a team about 100 yards to our east. I think they are Iwa Ninja," she said, drawing Naruto and Kurumi's nods. "We will cross paths with them if we keep going in these directions, so we should." Stop, Karen said, stopping the two of them. Naruto started, What is? But then heard a thunderclap coming from the side Karen claimed the other team was. "What the hell was that?" Naruto exclaimed. Karen said, "Don't move," as she dropped to her knees and pulled out a kunai. She crawled toward Naruto, prodding the ground in front of her. When she got close to him, she buried the kunai and heard a asterisk clink. After clearing away the dirt, Karen discovered a metal disc that was 1 inch thick and had the word, "Lightning," sealed on it. "Yep, exactly what I thought," Karen exclaimed as she got to her feet. "We are in a minefield," she added. What both Kurumi and Naruto yelled made them both pale. "These are chakra mines. You infuse a chakra of your choosing and it charges it," Karen explained. "In this case, these are lightning mines. So, if we step on one we would be hit by lightning chakra," said Karen. Karen shook her head in response to Naruto's statement, "Holy crap, we can die from these." "Well, this is going to be difficult. So, stay behind me," Karen said, dropping to her knees and starting to stab the ground in an attempt to find more mines. "No, but it would either knock us out or injure us to the point of not advancing," Karen said. Karen then pulled Kurumi over and positioned her behind Naruto. Karen said, "I'm going to make a path. So, follow my trail," and Kurumi and Naruto nodded. Naruto tried to calm himself down, saying, Okay. Karen's smart. She can figure this out, she can." But before he could say anything more, a second thunderclap from the west caused all three of them to jump. Kurumi remarked, "I guess another team is down." "OSH*T, uttered Naruto. Kurumi uttered, Naruto." "Indeed," Naruto replied. Naruto looked down and Kurumi said, "You can let go of my hand now." Naruto blushed and withdrew his hand. Naruto started, "Sorry, I just don't like lightning. After all, I got a lightning jutsu rammed through my chest." This was followed by another thunderclap. Naruto yelled, "Gaw fuck," as he seized Kurumi and held on to her for dear life. Kurumi held the quivering Naruto and thought, "Oh my god, he's afraid of lightning." "Okay, I'll admit it. It's kind of cute," she thought. In a viewing area, Mei, Temari, and Katsu. Temari, Mei, and Katsu were observing a Naruto screen. Temari rubbed her temples and said, "Oh man, lightning. Of all things it had to be lightning." Mei and Katsu both looked at her bewildered. Mei asked, "Is Naruto okay? And, what's wrong with him?" "Naruto has a fear of lightning," Temari stated. "It happened when his former teammate Sasuke rammed 2 lighting jutsus through his chest," she stated. "He had nightmares about it for a good while but it got better," Temari stated, "although he still gets uneasy when lightning strikes or someone uses a lighting jutsu," she continued. "How much punishment has he been through?" Katsu inquired, "Damn really?" Temari remarked, "He's been through a lot, but at least Kurumi and Karen are there for him." "Huh," Mei remarked, glancing at a different screen. "Isn't that your pink-haired friend and her 2 teammates?" Temari and Katsu glanced over, and the 3 women responded in unison. All 3 women exclaimed, "What the fuck?" alongside Lee, Hinata, and Sakura. Lee shouted, "By the power of youth, I will carry you 2 ladies to victory," as he hurried through the minefield at top speed while carrying Sakura and Hinata on his shoulders. Lighting was shooting all around them, but Lee was moving quickly enough to keep them safe. Hinata was on Lee's left shoulder, her hand over her mouth, when Sakura yelled, "Lee, you fucking psycho," from Lee's left shoulder. Lee yelled, "Almost there," and picked up his pace. However, after a short while, he noticed that the lighting had stopped and slowed to a stop. Lee started to cheer, "Yes, we made it. Guy sensei, if you were here you would." But Sakura smacked him on the back of the head. Lee let down both Sakura and Hinata. As Lee was tending to his bump, Sakura yelled, "Lee, you idiot. That was risky. Hinata, or you?" Sakura started, turning to face Hinata. Sakura ran up and yelled, "Hinata, hold up. Let me hold your hair back." Hinata was currently passing out from motion sickness. As Sakura spilled her lunch on the floor, she held Hinata's hair. When Hinata was done, she turned to face Sakura and said, "Thank you, Sakura," wiping her mouth. Sakura said, "It's okay, Hinata. Why don't you rinse out your mouth?" And Hinata nodded. Lee called out to Sakura and Hinata, grabbing their attention. "I apologize, please accept my forgiveness for my actions. I didn't mean to upset or sicken you," Lee said. Sakura and Hinata laughed at this together. Sakura said, "It's okay, Lee. You did a great job. Just remember to warn us before doing that again the next time." Sakura thought, "Oh god, I hope he never does that again." Lee got up and saluted as Hinata softly said, "It's okay, Lee. Just please be more courteous and think things through." "Yes, ma'am," Lee firmly replied. Sakura said, "Okay then, let's go, we need to continue." Hinata and Lee nodded, and they all started running again in the direction of the finish line. Area where senseis wait, with Kakashi. Gazing at his team on the monitor, Kakashi thought to himself, "Oh god, he's turning more and more into Guy every day." A cheer went up, "Yay." Kakashi turned to face Tobi, who was focusing on a different screen. "My baby girl and her friends have made it through the minefield. Tobi is so proud," Tobi exclaimed. Kakashi thought, "Damn it, I feel like I know that guy, but from where?" Alongside Karen, Kurumi, and Naruto. Kurumi exclaimed, "Thank God we made it through. Good job, Karen. But why did you take those mines?" Karen had set a few mines to be deactivated and placed in a scroll. Karen grinned and said, "You just know you're going to need it. You never know what you're going to need it for." Naruto pulled out a scroll containing his rope and said, "Yeah, I feel the same way about my rope. I have 400 feet of this stuff. Got it from an army surplus store in Suna," Naruto added. Kurumi said, "Seriously, dude, you will never, ever need 400 feet of rope." As they raced ahead, they came upon a sizable cliff with a smooth surface. "Huh, this should be easy," Kurumi thought to herself as she started to run toward the cliff. Kurumi attempted to use the wall walking technique by placing her foot on the edge of the cliff, but she slipped and fell right away. "What the hell?" she exclaimed, getting back up and trying again, but it was unsuccessful. "I can't use the wall walking technique," Kurumi said. Karen looked at the stone and said, "This might not be reactive to chakra. If it is, we can't just walk up it." Kurumi tapped her foot and said, "Crap, now what do we do?" With the biggest shit. Eater grin on his face, Naruto said, "Well, what do you know?" And turned Kurumi around. "Sounds like we need to climb the cliff with no chakra. I wonder how we could possibly do that," he said, pulling out his scroll. Kurumi said, "Menma," and then, "Come on." Naruto held his hand up to his ear and said, "Say it. I want to hear it." Kurumi mumbled something unintelligible and Naruto apologized, asking if he could repeat what he had said. Kurumi then took a deep breath. Kurumi let out a groan and asked, "Menma, can we use your rope?" while attempting to avoid hitting Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, "Of course, my precious teammate." He then opened the scroll to reveal his rope and said, "I will be honored to let you borrow my rope." Naruto then pulled out a gigantic shuriken and started to tie the rope to it. "Just 1 second. I need to tie my rope to the shuriken," said Naruto. Kurumi, who seemed to be emanating evil, caught Karen's attention. "Or how about I take that rope and shove it up your ass," Kurumi exclaimed to herself. Alongside Katsu, Mei, and Temari. "Oh my god," Temari exclaimed, looking at Katsu and Mei, him and his fucking rope. Temari was obviously frustrated. And the thing is, He got that damn thing because of a video game he likes to play, said Temari. Katsu crossed her arms and yelled, "Hey, don't knock the rope. It's one of the best weapons in Red Dead Ronin. You can also hog-tie people." Mei remarked, "Well, it came in handy, didn't it?" to Temari's groan. The two other women laughed as Temari remarked, "But now I need to hear, hey Temari. You won't believe what I did with my rope when he's done with it." Mei scanned the screens and said, "Now let's see who else made it to the wall." "Huh. Look at that." Mei pointed to one of the screens. Temari asked, "What is it?" Mei responded, pointing to the screen. Mei observed Temari and Katsu and remarked, "That Konoha team there. The ones in the alligator marshes. Konoha ninja have a habit of dressing differently, show individuality. However, they are wearing similar clothing," Mei continued. A shiver ran down Temari's spine as she stared at the screen. "Wait, those clothes. They look similar to those Anbumi and Naruto fought all those years ago," Temari thought to herself. Alongside the Root group. As the three Root ninjas raced toward the finish line, an alligator leapt out of the water and headed straight for the leader. The group was running alongside the marsh water. Upon noticing this, the leader reached for his tanto and removed it from its sheath, slicing the alligator in half from nose to tail. The team continued running after the alligator fell back into the water. While they were running, they noticed a ninja in a tree up ahead. About 6 alligators were jumping up beneath her, attempting to bite her but missing by 2 or 3 feet. The Kumo Kunoichi waved them down and yelled, "Help, help. These things killed my teammates. Please get me out of here." The team leader turned to face his 2 teammates, who also nodded before heading in the direction of the Kunoichi. The young lad started using hand signals to demonstrate the fire style, dragon fire technique. He shot a powerful stream of fire out of his mouth, striking the alligators and forcing them to retreat beneath the water. With a sigh of relief, the Kumo Kunoichi in the tree peered down to see the female group member sprinting up the tree in her direction. The Kumo Kunoichi said, "Thank you so much. I thought that I would have." However, as she started, the female stabbed her through the eye socket, killing her instantly. She then fell from the tree and into the water below. Before the alligators dragged her body down, she floated for a short while. The Kunoichi named her team, Weakling, as she leapt down from the tree and started running again, to which her 2 teammates nodded. The other boy said, "What say you, Alpha? Someone like her wasn't worthy to be called a shinobi." "Alpha, I agree. Good work, Gamma. Let's move on, we need to locate that Suna team." His teammates nodded in agreement. Alongside Tobi and Kakashi. Akumo Jonin sensei yelled, "What the fuck was that? They didn't have to do that. She was helpless." He turned to face Kakashi right away, who was in shock at what had happened. The other Jonin grabbed Kakashi and turned him around, yelling, "What the hell are you Konoha ninja teaching those kids? This isn't a war." Kakashi swatted his hand away and said, "Back off. They're not my team, and I had nothing to do with it." He then stood up. The Kumo Jonin started, "Fuck you, you." Before a vortex formed between Kakashi and the Kumo ninja. With a deep voice that made Kakashi, the Kumo Jonin, and everyone else freeze, Obito commanded, "Do not fight. Your anger is misplaced. While it is terrible, it is not outside of the exam rules." He was pointing at the Kumo ninja. The Kumo Jonin clenched his fists before opening them. Obito stated, "I suggest you file a formal complaint for excessive force." "Yes," the Kumo Jonin replied, "Yes, aye," and continued until 2 more Kumo Jonin approached. The other Jonin walked his friend out and said, "Come on, man. Let's go." The other Kumo ninja said, "Hey, thanks for calming him down," as he trailed his 2 friends. Turning to face Kakashi, Obito made her flinch as she peered at his swirl mask. "Oh boy, that was scary," Obito remarked in his Tobi voice, relieving the tension. "I'm thirsty," Tobi remarked as he skipped over to the bar. He waved to the bartender and said, "Oh, bartender, 1 beer, 1 sake, and 1 Bloody Mary please." Everyone in the room started to perspire, with the exception of Kakashi. Kakashi stared at Tobi in suspension, thinking, "I have to find out more about him. Who is this guy, and what was that jutsu of his?" Alongside Karen, Kurumi, and Naruto. Shit, Naruto yelled as he sidestepped a pillar that was about to strike him through the wall. I hate this crap, he exclaimed. Kurumi yelled from beneath Naruto, well, move your ass and get to the top. Naruto then threw the big shuriken with the rope attached in the direction of the cliff's top. The wall didn't start to attack Kurumi, Karen, and him until they were halfway up. At random, the cliff started to launch pillars of varying sizes at Naruto and his companions. Naruto was struck twice, once in the foot and once in the shoulder. A huge pillar struck Kurumi in the abdomen, but she held on even though the wind was knocked out of her. Finally, Karen took a blow to the face, breaking her spectacles. She was staring at Kurumi's shorts at the moment because, despite her poor vision, she could distinguish the color. As he ascended, a 10-foot long pillar appeared to his right. At that moment, Naruto got an idea, saying, "Hey girls, let's use the pillars." He grabbed the pillar and stood on it, saying, "Come on, we can use them to hop up." Kurumi ascended and stood next to Naruto, saying, "Okay." As she started to climb, Karen exclaimed, Guys, where are you?" with a hint of concern. "I'm on your right." "Continue climbing," Naruto said, to which Karen nodded. Karen continued to climb a short distance until she felt a hand grab her, to which Naruto replied, "Got you." Naruto then assisted Karen in getting onto a pillar, saying, "Okay then, Karen, hop on my back, I'll carry you to the top." Karen hopped onto Naruto's back and said, "Okay." When Naruto reached behind her to grab her, she eeped. "Hey, get your hands off my ass," Karen yelled. "I apologize," Naruto said, adjusting and placing his hands on Karen's thighs. "Okay, good," Karen nodded. "Okay, then we just have to time the pillars and hop up," Kurumi nodded. About 6 inches long, a pillar protruded from the left, and Kurumi leapt to land on it with her right foot facing the wall. Another pillar protruded above her head, and she was able to pull herself up by reaching up and grasping onto it. "Okay, outturn," Naruto uttered. A 2-foot long pillar shot out from the right, and he leapt on it. Looking 30 feet above him, he saw another pillar shoot out, this one 5 feet long. He leapt up, nearly landing on the pillar, but realized he had made a mistake, and the pillar went down at a 45-degree angle, shouting, "Oh fuck," as he lost his balance. Realizing he was going to fall, Naruto decided to take a dangerous maneuver. Karen screamed as Naruto lifted his large fan and swung it open, sending Karen hurtling upward and landing at the edge of the cliff. Naruto had lifted Karen off his back and thrown her into the air. "Naruto!" Kurumi exclaimed as she turned to face her tumbling teammate. She then leapt to the right and headed straight for Naruto's rope, grabbing hold of it with one hand and swinging toward the falling Naruto with her free hand. Naruto was barely able to hold on to the rope as Kurumi caught him by the ankle. Naruto and Kurumi were propelled towards the top of the cliff by a second gust of wind that he created with his fan. Both of them landed on the ground, with Naruto landing flat on his face and Kurumi landing on her butt. Naruto gasped, "Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit." He turned to face Kurumi, who was gasping as well. "Kurumi." "Thanks," he said, and Kurumi nodded. Kurumi, a little disoriented, said, "No problem." When Naruto said, "Girls," Karen and Kurumi turned to face him. "Indeed," Kurumi replied. "What's this, Naruto?" inquired Karen. Naruto commanded, "Don't tell Temari about what just happened." Alongside Katsu, Mei, and Temari. "Oh, thank God," Mei exclaimed as she turned to face Temari, who was sitting in a chair and breathing into a paper bag, while Katsu stood next to her. Katsu said, "He's okay, Naruto's okay," and Temari nodded while keeping her breath inside the bag. Temari said as she was speaking, "Okay, okay. I'm good. I just, holy shit, got scared there for a second." Mei turned around and said, "Okay, I made up my mind. We are never using that cliff for a Chunin exam again. I'm cordoning it off for Jonin and Anbu use only." The other two girls nodded. Alongside Karen, Kurumi, and Naruto. As they approached the finish of the obstacle course, Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen were racing through the forest. Karen, donning her extra pair of glasses, was using her mind's eye to search for enemies. 3 chakra signatures rapidly materialized behind them as they all advanced. As Kurumi and Naruto turned to face her, Karen exclaimed, Hey, we got 3 signatures behind us. Naruto continued to run as he spoke. Naruto said, okay, then, should we ambush them or outrun them? I'm down with either. I think we should take them out. Might as well eliminate some competition, said Kurumi. I had the same thought, Karen remarked. So, how would you like to play this? Karen inquired. Kurumi asked Karen, who had previously disarmed the mines, if she still had those mines. After giving it some thought, she nodded and said, okay, I have an idea. Iwa team at random. Okay guys, are you ready to do this? The Iwa team leader asked his 2 colleagues. Another boy exclaimed, hell yeah, let's fuck up those Suna clowns. Keep your head, the final member said. I say we scout them out before engaging, he added, to the derision of his 2 other teammates. That guy and those 2 girls are unknowns, he added. The leader said, it's 1 guy and 2 chicks. We could beat them, no. And started to speak, but then everyone heard something, swooshing, through the air. Shit, dodge, he yelled. 3 enormous shuriken came hurtling toward the group. The team leader and one of his allies dodged them as they passed over their heads, but the final Iwa ninja, ever the conceited one, tried to grab hold of them. The Iwa ninja had no way to avoid the attack as the lightning mine went off and electrocuted him. He was shocked for a few minutes before he fell down unconscious. It will take more than a shuriken to. He started to say until he realized what was tied to the shuriken. It was one of the lightning mines they had to avoid earlier. The leader tried a flaking move to try and get an angle on the opposing team. As he ran around a tree, he was hit by a strong gust of wind. Crap, spit up, he yelled to his other teammate. He went right while his other teammate went left. Naruto was running toward him with both of his small fans in each hand when the Iwa ninja was sent into a tree, hitting his back against the tree trunk. He quickly regained his bearings and avoided a blade of wind coming towards him. The Iwa ninja pulled out a kunai and charged at Naruto. A slash from the Iwa ninja was aimed at Naruto's throat, but he ducked and parried the blow with the closed fan in his right hand. Then, he swung his other fan at the boy's head, hitting him in the temple so that he could see stars, driving the fan into his stomach so that he coughed up blood, and finally, he finished the attack by sweeping his legs and knocking him to the ground. After putting both of his fans back in his holsters and moving back toward his teammates, Naruto lifted his foot and stomped down on his face, knocking him unconscious. The final Iwa ninja was attempting to flank the squad that he and his group were trying to eliminate when he stepped on something that crunched. As soon as his foot lifted up, he was forced to stop because a barrier had materialized in front of, behind, and next to him. Oh my god, he exclaimed, not even angry. A moment later, Karen emerged from behind a tree and started talking. I have to say you are a lot smarter than your teammates, Karen remarked as she approached the barrier to address the Iwa ninja. The barrier will come down in an hour. You won, and thanks for doing it violently, he said, and Karen nodded. I can say the same to you. It's not easy being the smart, level-headed member of the group, he said. After a few minutes of running, Karen turned to find Naruto and Kurumi waiting for her. Well, Kurumi. Your plan worked, Karen said, and Kurumi grinned. No problem. Take care, Karen said as she turned around to rejoin her teammates. You have to think quickly, Kurumi exclaimed. Come on, let's go. She then took the lead, followed by Naruto and Karen. After 20 minutes. As Kurumi and Karen got closer to the rallying spot, Naruto exclaimed, there it is. Sakura's team was among the several other teams gathered there, along with 3 other Konoha teams, 4 Kiri teams, 5 Kumo teams, 6 Iwa teams, 1 Taki team, and 1 each from Spring and AIM. A proctor was waiting to track Naruto and his team after they crossed the finish line. Okay, Suna team has arrived with 35 minutes to spare. Total amount of teams right now is 23, he said, causing Naruto and his team to exhale in relief. Naruto exhaled heavily as he spoke, oh man, I'm glad. He also said, man, that was nerve-wracking. Kurumi declared, I don't want to do that again. I hated that damn cliff. Karen rolled her eyes and said, at least you didn't have to disarm landmines. Kurumi agreed. Just 1 more Kiri team crossed the finish line in the next 35 minutes, leaving Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen as one of the 24 teams that remained. Kurumi and Karen nodded in agreement as Naruto remarked, I guess Temari was right about cutting the numbers down. A short while later, an earthen pillar emerged from the ground to create a stage. When Naruto and the other turned to see what was going to happen, he saw someone who instantly chilled him approach and take center stage. Hello, I'm Shikamaru Nara. I will be the proctor for the second exam of the Chunin exams, Shikamaru declared firmly. Naruto turned to face him and was shocked to see that Shikamaru was who he claimed to be. Naruto thought, Shikamaru, what the hell happened to you? Before shaking his head to bring his attention back to what Shikamaru was saying. As he pulled a scroll from his back pocket and opened it, Shikamaru remarked, as you can all see, there is a total of 24 teams remaining. From the first round of the Chunin exams, now it's time to chop that number down even more, the next exam would be a 4-way team battle, he said, adding that, 4 teams will enter a battle area 1 mile in circumference and fight until only 1 team remains. Kurumi asked, what are the rules? As she held up her hand. If a teammate dies, becomes incapacitated or knocked out, it will not disqualify the entire team, Shikamaru stated. The battle will end with the last man or woman standing. The last person of a team standing will advance his entire team regardless if his teammates are incapacitated or killed, according to him. Naruto asked, so, if I win, I can still advance them if my 2 teammates get knocked out? Shikamaru nodded. As Shikamaru opened the scroll and declared, this will be the roster for the battles, Naruto and his group gasped in shock and realized they would be facing 2 Konoha teams and a Kiri team. Alpha turned to face his fellow Root team and nodded, silently agreeing, very well then. It will be done. So that's Lord Shikamaru's plan, he thought. He's going to send us in with Delta, Epsilon, and Zeta in order to take out the Suna team. When Naruto saw that Karen and Kurumi were going to fight, he became a little uncomfortable. The Kiri team appeared to be in good shape, but the 2 Konoha teams had an odd appearance. Naruto nodded and returned Karen's whisper, Menma, saying, those guys' chakra signatures are all screwed up. They are not normal, well, I can't explain it but they are not right. Naruto started, yeah, they seem weird. I can't put my finger on it but stopped when he noticed Sakura approaching him. Hey Sakura, right, how's it going? Naruto asked, but he could tell right away that Sakura was being serious. Sakura whispered to Naruto, Karen, and Kurumi, hey guys, listen to me. Those guys aren't normal Konoha ninja. About 2 years ago, a new academy in Konoha opened producing new genin at an alarming rate. Sakura continued, pausing, more and more kids are going there than the traditional academy. They are skilled but... Sakura started, then stopped. What is it? Inquired Naruto. Sakura turned and walked away, saying, just watch yourselves and don't be ashamed to surrender and quit the exams. They are merciless. They are psychos, Sakura said, a lot of the reports have been watered down. There have been reports of them killing unnecessarily, torture, and all kinds of horrible stuff, Sakura said, making Naruto freeze. For a few seconds, Naruto stood there, his heart pounding and his mind going into overdrive. What the hell is going on here? He thought to himself as he turned to face the 2 Konoha teams. Danzo, the guy who tried to control me, the guy who sent those Anbu to that village a couple years ago. Alongside Kurumi, Karen, and Naruto. As Karen was wiping her glasses, Kurumi was examining her kunai, and Naruto was examining his fans. The group of them stood at their gate, waiting for the all cleared to enter the arena. While they waited, Temari unexpectedly approached them all. Temari said, hey babe, what are you doing here? In response to Naruto. I'm just here to wish you all good luck, Temari stated, and watch out for those Konoha teams. I know you are all stronger than most but remember there is no shame in surrendering, she concluded. Approaching her, Naruto gave her a hug. Don't worry, we'll be alright, Naruto reassured Temari. Temari hesitated at first, but soon gave him a hug and said, I love you. Kurumi interrupted Temari as she started to walk away, saying, love you too. Temari smiled. Naruto nodded as Kurumi remarked, we got this, Naruto. Let's show those Konoha dickheads we are the best team here. Naruto said, yes, you have your contacts on right, and Kurumi nodded. That's the word I'm looking for, right? Kurumi asked Karen, who nodded. Yep. All clandestine and shit. Kurumi wore specially colored contacts that matched her natural eye color. In this manner, she could turn on her Sharingan without anyone from Konoha noticing. As soon as Shikamaru's voice could be heard over the loudspeakers, Naruto and his group prepared for the start of the second stage of the Chunin exams. "Alright girls, let's kick some ass," Naruto exclaimed, putting up his hands to give them a high five. Kurumi gave Naruto a high five and said, "Fuck yeah." Karen also gave a high five, saying, "Let's rock." Using Toby. Seated in a chair alongside the other Junin sensei, Obito exclaimed, "Go team Toby go." "Put Toby down for 10,000 Ryo for my baby girl and her team," he said, and the bookkeeper nodded. The bookkeeper wrote, "Gotcha," and "Team Toby." 15-1 odds, on his chalkboard. At this, Kakashi shrugged and said, "Hey, put me down for the same thing." The bookkeeper nodded, thinking, Kakashi Hitaki, betting against two Konoha teams, with a smile in his eyes. He was suddenly surrounded by an arm, and he recognized it as Toby. "2 beers. One for me and one for my new buddy," Obito cheerily said. "Thanks, buddy. I've always imagined myself sharing a beer with you," Kakashi, Obito mused, hiding behind his mask. Alongside Shikamaru. The girl, who looked about Shikamaru's age, had a heart. Shaped face, thin lips, brown eyes, and auburn hair that was shaved on the sides but long on top, which she slicked back to the nape of her neck. Shikamaru was in the control center with his personal assistant and second in command. Gazing at the monitor, Shikamaru said, "This is Root's moment to shine. Start the exam, Kama." Kama walked over to the control panel and pressed a button, saying, "Yes, Lord Shikamaru." Alongside Kurumi, Karen, and Naruto. The arena's gates opened when a buzzer went off, and Naruto let out a, "Let's go," as he and his group dashed inside. The arena they were in was a steep, rocky region with sparse vegetation. Karen stated, "We need to find a suitable area for us, preferably a flat area where you both can use your wind and fire jutsu to full effect." Kurumi and Naruto nodded in agreement. Naruto said, "Okay, let's go find it then," as they moved forward. Using Gamma, Beta, and Alpha. For approximately 15 minutes, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma have been running through the arena in search of their fellow Root team members. While they were running, Alpha heard a unique bird call that she recognized. After Alpha replied, 3 figures materialized, and Alpha and his group came to a halt. "Alpha," was said by Delta as she approached. "Delta, it's about time," irritated Alpha remarked, "Let's get going, we have a mission to finish." Delta nodded. "You are all under my command now. We will proceed to eliminate both foreign teams," Alpha stated, "and once we do, me and Delta will fight in order to decide which of our teams will forfeit," he said with a nod. "That's very well," Delta replied. "Let's find them quickly," Beta exclaimed. "I want this to end as soon as possible." Alpha led the combined group through the arena and said, "Okay, let's go." Alongside Toby and Kakashi. "This is bullshit, what the hell," and "they're teaming up," were the sentiments expressed by everyone in the Junin lounge as they watched the monitor and bemoaned how the two Konoha teams had teamed up and were pursuing the Kiri and Suna teams. However, Kakashi and Toby said nothing because they felt uneasy about the situation as a whole. Alongside the Kiri group. The 3 boys that made up the Kiri team were scurrying around the area in search of the opposing teams. At the moment, they were racing across a lake, which was ideal for them because their specialty was water jutsu. The group leader, Kodaka, spoke as they dashed across the water, casting a backward glance. Kodaka nodded to his team, saying, "Okay guys, it's our time to shine. Let's win this thing." As they raced across the water, they noticed 3 figures ahead of them. After the Kiri ninjas identified them as one of the Konoha teams, both the Konoha and Kiri ninjas drawn swords and prepared for combat. A Konoha ninja proceeded through hand signals. The 3 ninjas split apart as the fire technique struck the water, producing a massive cloud of steam. Fire style. Dragon fire technique, Beta unleashed a powerful stream of fire towards the Kiri ninja. The 3 Root ninja stopped to observe the steam cloud, and then there were 2 distinct clangs of steel. A second Kiri ninja emerged, locking blades with Gamma, while Delta leapt out by himself. The Kodaka emerged from the steam, locking blades with Alpha. After kicking Alpha out of the way and getting some distance, Kodaka turned to see one of his teammates fighting a girl. When Kodaka turned to look at his other teammate, who was dead in the water with a slit in his throat, he yelled, "You bastards. You didn't have to kill him." Delta turned to face him and replied, "I didn't. But I wanted to," Delta stated in a level voice that caused the Kodaka's blood to boil. However, before the Kodaka could react, Alpha attacked, causing the team leader to retreat while preparing his defense. Gamma was engaged in a fast-paced Kenjutsu duel with the other Kiri ninja who was still alive, using her Tanto. Both of them were dashing at the other in an attempt to deliver a fatal or seriously injured blow. Gamma used a devious move to kick water in the face of the Kiri ninja, who had ducked to avoid being hit by Gamma's blows. He wiped his face and yelled, "Gah, you bitch." He then saw Gamma move in for a stab. The Kiri ninja sidestepped and slashed upward, almost severing Gamma's head off her body as it approached her neck. But as he watched Gamma fade away, he believed that the blade had passed through her and that it was Genjutsu. At that moment, though, a blade pierced the back of his neck, causing blood to spurt out of it. Gamma remarked, "Genjutsu. So useful when used properly," as she withdrew her blade and let the Kiri ninja drown. The Kiri ninja leader yelled, "God damn it," as he stopped Alpha from hitting him again. He then leapt back, pulled out a smoke bomb, and threw it into the water. Alpha prepared for an attack, but none materialized. When the smoke cleared, he noticed that Kodaka had vanished. "We'll deal with him later. Now let's look for the Suna team," Alpha said to the other nodding members. After leaving the bodies of two Kiri ninja behind, Alpha started to lead the others off to find the Suna team. Alongside Kurumi, Karen, and Naruto. Naruto exclaimed, "This is perfect," as he and his companions stood in the center of an expansive canyon surrounded by 30-foot tall cliffs. The only other feature within the canyon was a river on the far side. "I can totally use my wind jutsu here," he added. Kurumi started to say, "We better get ready. We don't know who is coming first." "We should," but then she heard someone yelling. All heads turned to see a lone Kiri shinobi running towards them, arms raised above his head, shouting, "Hey, once more." It was a boy's voice. Upon witnessing this, Karen activated one of her chakra chains. As Karen prepared to launch an attack, she commanded, "Hold it. Give up now and tell your teammates to come out." At that moment, the Kiri ninja halted, raising his hands above his head. "My teammates are dead. Those Konoha ninja killed them," he stated, shocking Naruto and his teammates. "Both Konoha teams are working together. They killed my team for sport, and they're coming for you guys. They're right on my ass and not stopping for shit," he stated. The Kiri ninja lowered his hands and grimaced as Naruto strode forward and said, "Why are you telling us this? You could have just surrendered and left." Kodaka uttered, "I want your help to kill those sons of bitches." The voice of Delta said, "How touching. Suna and Kiri working together." Naruto, Karen, Kurumi, and Kodaka then gathered together and formed a square. With swords and tantos drawn and prepared to battle, all 6 root ninjas suddenly surrounded the group. "Looks like we might be able to finish this sooner than we thought," he remarked. After assessing the group, Alpha spoke, "Zeta, you take on the red-haired one," and she nodded. "Gamma, you take on the black-haired girl," he said. "Delta and Epsilon finish off the Kiri ninja," he said, and Delta nodded. "Beta, you and me will take on the boy in the orange jacket," Alpha said, and Beta nodded. "I think he would love a team reunion," Delta stated, earning a grimace from the Kiri ninja. With a growing rage, Naruto pulled out his 2 tiny fans and said, "Okay, everyone. Let's kick their fucking teeth in. Beta and Alpha versus Naruto." With both of his fans at the ready, Naruto charged at Alpha and Beta. He then brought his fans back and unleashed 2 wind blades at the 2 root ninjas. While Alpha and Beta sidestepped the blow to avoid being struck, Naruto chose to attack Beta after he had put his fans away and brandished his gauntlet blade. Upon observing this, Beta charged and readied his ninjutsu towards Naruto, raising it in anticipation of an overhead slice. When Beta lowered the sword to strike Naruto, the latter raised his arm and used his gauntlet to deflect the blow. After pushing the sword aside, Naruto raised his leg and kicked Beta in the ribs, causing her to fall to the side and skid a short distance on the ground. Since Alpha was sprinting toward Naruto, it was a wise decision for him to turn around and concentrate on him right away. Alpha swung his sword at Naruto, who dodged and counterattacked with a stab. Before dropping his sword, Alpha ducked to the side and gave Naruto a punch to the face. Naruto rolled away, but not before receiving a cut along his right shoulder blade. Damn it. These guys are tough. This isn't going to be easy, thought Naruto as he rolled and leapt up into a stance, seeing Alpha and Beta charging towards him. Gamma versus Kurumi. Gamma, a kunoichi, was slicing Kurumi with his blade as they both attempted to deliver a fatal blow. Gamma quickly stabbed Kurumi in an attempt to break up the fight. Kurumi, however, was tracking every attack that Gamma launched at her and had activated her Sharingan without anyone else knowing. She sidestepped the attack and slashed Gamma's hand, forcing her to drop the weapon. As Gamma started to dodge Kurumi's kunai, she thought, how is it that she can see my movements before I can make contact? Kurumi slashed at Gamma, but Gamma grabbed her hand. Kurumi was disarmed by Gamma, who also knocked the kunai out of her hand. Unfazed, Kurumi punched Gamma. Gamma countered the punch by raising her arm to block it, slamming Kurumi across the face and causing her to spit up blood. Kurumi grabbed the hand that had just struck her and pulled Gamma towards her before Gamma could even react. Kurumi then pulled Gamma toward the ground. Gamma was rolled onto the ground by Kurumi, who then pushed her fist into Gamma's face before repeating the action. When Kurumi attempted to punch Gamma, Gamma grabbed hold of her arm and pulled it in the opposite direction, bringing Gamma's chest and Kurumi's back even. Gamma then reached up, put her other arm around Kurumi's neck and started to choke her. As she did so, Kurumi started to gag. In a desperate attempt, Kurumi thrust her head forward and then back, severing Gamma's nose with the back of her head. Kurumi wheezed as she stood up, grabbing Gamma's throat as she coughed. "You cough bitch." Gamma screamed in agony and released her, allowing Kurumi to get some distance. Gamma stood up too and grabbed her nose, snapping it back into place and spitting the blood onto the floor. With a sour expression, Gamma turned to face Kurumi and said, "I'm going to enjoy killing you." Kurumi yelled, "Bring it bitch," as she assumed her taijutsu stance. Zeta versus Karen. Zeta was running faster than any person Karen had ever seen, so she used her chakra chains to strike the fast moving target. She must be a speed specialist. My chains are too slow and I can't aim ahead of her, Karen thought to herself as she continued to attempt hits. Damn it. She's too fast. Zeta used her amazing speed to dodge a chain that Karen threw at her, skidding under it before sprinting in Karen's direction. When Karen saw that Zeta was about to make a rising slash with her sword down low, she made the decision to perform a Hail Marital in order to save her life. After cutting Karen's shirt and taking her breath away, Zeta dragged the sword across her stomach, shocking her by finding no blood on the ground when she turned around. Zeta saw glowing chains encircling Karen's abdomen, serving as makeshift armor, as she turned around. Zeta thought, I should cripple her so we can deliver her to Lord Danzo. She had never seen a technique like this before. Zeta assumed her fighting stance once more and prepared to take on Karen. Karen stood up and coughed, holding her ribs. Damn, that hurt, she thought to herself. I think that cracked one of my ribs. As Karen called forth a second chakra chain, she thought, but I can't stop now. This isn't over, Karen declared. Zeta charged in again, saying, agreed. Kodaka against Epsilon and Delta. Although neither Delta nor Epsilon was an expert swordsman, Kodaka was fighting both of them and was making some headway. But Kodaka had been practicing swordplay for as long as he could remember, and at the moment, he was cutting circles around the two Konoha ninja. After blocking a cut from Delta and deflecting the sword, Kodaka gave him the backhand across the face, knocking him to the ground. Without delay, Kodaka spun around and locked blades with Epsilon, reversing direction as their blades collided. Epsilon continued to attack after realizing he was winning, but this proved to be a mistake as Kodaka blocked another strike. As Kodaka and Epsilon exchanged blows, Kodaka launched his counterattack, bringing down both blades and elbowing Epsilon in the face. Then, Kodaka raised his blade and took one swipe at Epsilon's head, beheading him. Kodaka turned to see Delta get up, utterly unfazed by what had just transpired. Delta uttered, huh. Epsilon. I told him not to get too cocky, to which Kodaka gave a growl. Kodaka said, you bastard. You don't even care about your comrade, to which Delta responded with a shrug. As he reverted to his original position, Delta remarked, there are plenty more where he came from. Shall we continue? Kodaka uttered the words, "Fuck you," and assumed his usual stance. Alongside Naruto. After putting away his blade and pulling out his medium fan, Naruto leapt away from Alpha and Beta. He then opened his fan and started to charge his chakra, calling it Wind Sickle Jutsu. Naruto unleashed his wind jutsu and swung his fan at the two Konoha ninja. When Alpha saw this, he made the hand gesture, Earth style, mud wall. When Alpha slammed his hands to the ground, an earthen wall emerged to shield him from the onslaught. Still, Alpha turned to face Beta, not realizing that he had no defense against the jutsu. After being struck by the jutsu, Beta was propelled across the clearing and into the canyon's walls. He struck the wall with great force and struck the back of his head on it. Beta struck the ground face first, allowing everyone to see the back of his head smashed in and gushing blood, leaving a stain on the wall. Alpha thought, depressed skull fracture. He's done for. Hey dude, just give up and I'll let you leave the arena. There's no need for you to die, Naruto yelled. Alpha emerged from behind the mud wall and gave him a quick glance. Never, Alpha exclaimed, I will never give up to you. You are Suna scum. With his sword drawn, Alpha lunged towards Naruto. In an attempt to slit Naruto across the throat with his sword, Alpha swung at him. Naruto blocked the blade with the blunt side of his fan. The steel construction of Naruto's fan prevented it from breaking easily, but even so, the sword clanged and bounced off its side, leaving only a minor scrape in the agony. After Alpha moved his sword in front of him to block Naruto's blow with his fan, the fan struck Alpha, breaking the sword in half and striking Alpha in the left collarbone. Alpha let out a painful "Gah" as the fan made contact with his collarbone. After gathering his courage, Alpha slashed at Naruto for slashing his arm. After reversing course and landing a short distance away, Naruto dropped his fan and discovered a deep gash on his forearm. With his arm hanging loosely by his side, Naruto thought to himself, damn it, I can't feel my arm. He pulled out his blade and prepared to fight again. The battle was far from over as Alpha returned to his stance with his broken sword. Alongside Kurumi. Gamma deflected a punch Kurumi threw at him, and Kurumi returned fire with a kick that swerved and struck Gamma in the jaw. Gamma was kicked, spun around, and fell to her knee. Kurumi ran up to her, grabbed her from behind, and put her in a chokehold. Kurumi tried to choke Gamma for a short while until she retaliated. Kurumi kicked Gamma in the face as Gamma was about to punch her after Gamma grabbed her and threw her to the ground in front of her. As Gamma staggered back, Kurumi stood up and lunged towards her, but Gamma deflected the blow with a punch. Kurumi continued, kicking and elbowing Gamma, but Kurumi's Sharingan flashed from behind her contacts, going unnoticed by Gamma. Gamma chose to strike back, using her right hand to deliver a blow to Kurumi's face. Kurumi grinned, knowing the blow would land. But Kurumi felt the punch, and Gamma looked surprised, thinking, Genjutsu, when did she do it? Gamma exposed herself, and Kurumi took advantage of the situation by grinning and knifing Gamma in the throat with a knife. As Gamma gasped for air, her throat was crushed, and she grabbed for air. Kurumi did not pause, sweeping Gamma's feet out from under her and sending her to the ground. Kurumi raised her leg and trampled on Gamma's stomach, causing the remaining air to squish out of her. Gamma started to turn blue and struggled for a few minutes before succumbing to oxygen deprivation in a matter of seconds. Kurumi chose to spit on her corpse in an attempt to offend her once more. Muter and bitch, Kurumi exclaimed, gasping for air. As she caught her breath, she turned to see 3 battles in progress. I should go and help them, she thought to herself as she hurried away. Alongside Karen. Karen continued to attempt to strike Zeta, who was dodging Kane's chains with her greater speed. Zeta rolled to avoid Karen's grasp and leapt aside, charging straight at her. When Karen saw this, she quickly moved out of Zeta's way. Zeta's sword sliced Karen's shirt, but fortunately no blood was drawn. As Zeta walked by, Karen threw her chains at her, allowing her to strike Zeta with a quick glance. Upon noticing this, Karen thought of her chains and assumed a defensive position. As Zeta glared at Karen, she assumed a low stance and thought, I should end this now. She got me, but she's still slow, Zeta thought to herself. Zeta charged her sword with wind chakra, sending it all the way to her feet, and then she charged full speed toward Karen, intending to take her head off. Zeta slid under one of Karen's chains that she had thrown in her direction and kept running in Karen's direction. Zeta was unaware, though, that Karen had placed the other chain in front of her at neck level when she slid beneath it. Zeta ran into the chain, and Karen encircled her neck with it. Karen called the chain back to her, dragging Zeta along with it. She then kicked Zeta when she was close enough. Using her momentum, Karen kicked Zeta in the head, causing her neck to break as her foot made contact with Zeta's skull. After releasing Zeta's body from her chain, Karen collapsed to her knee, clutching her ribs. As Karen opened her shirt and noticed her right side was purple, she thought to herself, "Damn my ribs." "Oh man," Karen exclaimed. Karen started to heal her ribs by applying the fundamental medical ninjutsu she was familiar with. Alongside Kodaka. In a kenjutsu duel, Kodaka and Delta were battling it out for supremacy. Kodaka blocked Delta's sword and then spun around to slash at Delta again. In an attempt to get Delta to jump away and gain some distance, Kodaka slashed his bicep, causing Delta to put down his sword and proceed through hand signals. Fire style. Fire dragon bullet. Delta shot Kodaka with a stream of fire shaped like a dragon. Kodaka leapt away upon realizing that the river lay on the other side of the canyon. Kodaka rushed over and started going through the gestures. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. Kodaka summoned a water dragon and sent it hurtling toward Delta's fire dragon. The two jutsus collided and produced a massive steam cloud. Not wanting to be let down, Kodaka took a stance and watched as Delta emerged from the steam, blade ready to strike. Kodaka struck Delta with his sword, but it passed through, a clone, in Kodaka's mind. Kodaka was then stabbed in the back with the sword emerging through his chest. A chuckle came from behind him as Kodaka cleared his throat. Delta mockingly said, "You should always watch your back." Now then. Delta started until he coughed up blood. Kodaka and Delta both fell to the ground. When Kodaka collapsed, he discovered Delta lifeless on the ground with 3 kunais stuck in his back. "Hold on," was called out. When Kodaka turned to face it, she saw Suna Kunoichi, who had black hair, sprinting toward her. "Hold on," was repeated as she skidded up next to Kodaka. Kurumi expressed her shock by placing her hands on Kodaka's chest to halt the bleeding. Despite knowing that Kodaka would not survive, she comforted him by saying, oh shit. Kurumi nodded as Kodaka said, My sword, and, T. Take my sword. Kurumi said, what's your name? In response to Kodaka. Kurumi, was her response, and Kodaka grinned. Kodaka said, Kurumi EH. I'm Kodaka. D. Don't forget me, he uttered haltingly, and he fell silent, his eyes wide and vacant. Kurumi attempted to feel for a pulse, but she quickly withdrew her hand when she realized he had passed away. Kurumi closed Kodaka's eyes and shed a single tear. Reaching over, Kurumi took his sword from the ground and removed its sheath from his body. Kodaka, I apologize, she thought to herself. Alongside Naruto. Due to their injuries, Naruto and Alpha were still fighting. Naruto slashed at Alpha with his gauntlet blade, and Alpha dodged. Both of them were trying to finish the fight as soon as possible. With his broken sword, Alpha tried to stab Naruto, but Naruto sidestepped and evaded the blow. After retracting his blade and jumping back, Naruto reached down to grab his fan. He then opened his hand and hurled multiple wind blades in Alpha's direction. As the wind blades approached Alpha, he saw this and ducked to the side, slamming his hands to the ground and passing through hand signals. Earth spikes appeared out of the ground and headed in Naruto's direction as Alpha yelled, Earth style, Earth spikes. When Naruto noticed the Earth spikes approaching him, he fled and made his way to the canyon's wall, running up the wall to dodge the Earth spikes. Alpha started to dodge the wind blades that were flying in all directions as Naruto started to sprint along the wall and unleash more of them with his fan. A chakra chain suddenly passed over his head as he was doing so, forcing him to duck. Alpha sprang back, seeing Karen sprinting toward him while wielding her chakra chains. When Alpha heard someone behind him, he turned to face the person who had slashed his back. Alpha had pulled out some shuriken and thrown them at Karen, who had simply swatted them away. With Kodaka's katana, Kurumi struck Alpha across the back, causing him to cry out in agony. Kurumi then turned around and kicked Alpha in the face, causing her to fall to the ground. When Naruto used a wind jutsu to send Kurumi flying across the ground, Alpha was halted from killing him with his sword. As soon as he heard Alpha getting up again, Naruto dashed over to confront him, brandishing his blade. Naruto killed Alpha instantly by stabbing him through the socket of his eye and out the back of his skull. As Alpha's body hit the ground, Naruto angrily withdrew his blade. There were now only 3 people in the terrifying and bloody arena: Kurumi, Karen, and Naruto. Naruto heard Shikamaru's voice over the intercom at that moment. Winners of the first round of the second phase. Team Toby, he said, sounding even and unconcerned. Kurumi declared, winners. Yeah. We won all right, she remarked mockingly. At least we survived, Karen remarked, and Naruto approached, his mask and hood pulled back so that only his eyes were visible. Even so, this shouldn't have happened, Naruto remarked, surveying his surroundings. Mei, Katsu, and Temari together. Temari exclaimed, this is too much, as she and Katsu stared in shock at the monitor. This. Holy shit, Temari said. Those Konoha ninja went too far, Katsu exclaimed. Mei what? She started, turning around to face an enraged Mei with murder in her eyes along with Temari. With barely suppressed rage, Mei called out, Temari, Katsuragi. The exams are temporarily suspended. Get me that Nara and send a message to the Hokage. Both girls nodded. While casualties are expected, they are not necessary, Mei stated. Konoha will bear the consequences, she growled. Council chambers in Kirigakure, one day following Naruto's exam. Tsunade, Danzo, Homura, Kaharu, and Shikamaru were the targets of Maiterumi and the Kiri Council's glare. Tsunade got up as Maiterumi yelled, what the fuck was that shit? Your Konoha teams murdered a Kiri team and attempted to murder a Suna team. What the hell was that? I had no idea what happened, or did I sanction it, Tsunade remarked, drawing Kaharu's attention. I have no excuse for their actions, she continued. Kaharu started, Lady Tsunade, are you really going to turn your back on fellow Konoha shinobi? They were just following the exam rules. We cannot. But was cut off. Maiterumi unleashed her deadly intent as Tsunade slammed her hand against the desk, shattering it in half. Tsunade growled, yes, deaths are expected in the Chunin exams, but intentional killing is not. If you hit someone with an overpowered jutsu, yes. If you kick someone and break their neck, maybe, Tsunade continued, but 2 Konoha teams, teaming up and murdering a team in cold blood and attempting to do it again is unacceptable, she added. Remember that Danzo commanded those ninjas, she added, and he appeared unfazed. Mei and Tsunade were now furious with Danzo, who calmly stated, they're just doing what shinobi are trained to do. They're trained to their enemy. It is not my fault or anyone else's fault for their actions. Furthermore, all I see is Kiri overreacting, Danzo stated. Let's not forget their barbaric graduation ritual. It was only stopped when Zabuza Momochi killed 100 other children, he responded. We are trying to shed the image of the village of the bloody mist, and this shit your ninja pulled is making Kiri remember our horrid past, Mei said, barely controlling her rage. Kiri is trying to change, asshole, she added, before sitting back down. Homura and Kaharu stood up in indignation as Mei remarked, which is why as of right now every Konoha team except Team Kakashi will be banned from any other exam here in Kiri. Mei laughed as Homura yelled, you cannot do this. We are protected by treaties and are allowed to participate. Mei took out a piece of paper and said, oh, dear counselor, you do not get to choose that. Every other team, including Team Kakashi, voted that we eliminate Konoha from the Chunin exams. Moreover, the Water Daimyo was observing the examination and was horrified by the exhibit, Mei stated, causing the 2 council members to become enraged. As she stood up, Tsunade said, I understand. I apologize for the way our teams behaved. I hope you won't hold it against Konoha. Mei stated, I believe you, Tsunade, but Konoha is on thin ice right now. She glared at the other person, specifically at Shikamaru, who was acting as composed as ever. This is over. Leave Kiri immediately, Mei replied. All the Konoha members stood up and left. I'm going to see the Suna team. They also deserve an apology, she said, turning to leave. Danzo glanced at Shikamaru as she was doing it and muttered. Shikamaru nodded as Danzo remarked, we still have 1 root team participating here. Have them hide here and spy on that Suna team. They are not who they seem to be. Yes, my lord, Shikamaru replied as he turned to locate the last route team. Naruto and Temari in the high-security ward of Kiri Hospital. With the entire room to themselves, Naruto and Temari were making out on a hospital bed. Naruto had one hand on Temari's butt, while the other was still in a sling. As they broke apart, Temari, who was on top, put her hands on Naruto's chest and met his eyes. With a hint of pain in her voice, Temari rubbed Naruto's cheek with her thumb and said, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry for coming late. They wouldn't let me see you right away." Naruto grinned in response. "It's just you, Temari," Naruto said, and Temari grinned. "My arm is healing well. With the fox's help, I should be able to use it in a few days," Temari said. In Naruto's thoughts, the Kyuubi said, "You're welcome. I was just so worried and so pissed about your exam," Temari said with a scowl. "That Konoha team went too far. I was half tempted to go in there and kill them myself," she replied. "I wouldn't blame you," Naruto replied. "So where were we?" Temari grinned. When the door opened, Temari kissed Naruto and started probing his mouth with her tongue. "Brat, are you?" Tsunade asked, pausing when she noticed Temari and Naruto staring at her with wide eyes. The three of them stood there for a short while before Tsunade spoke once more. "I want to name your first kid," she smirked. After Temari got off of Naruto while he was adjusting her clothes, Naruto glared at Tsunade and yelled, "What the hell, Granny Tsunade?" To which Tsunade responded with a laugh. Tsunade apologized, "Sorry brat," to which Naruto scowled. But Tsunade then seemed serious, saying, "Okay, now we need to talk," to which Temari and Naruto both nodded. Tsunade blocked off her space and started talking, saying, "Naruto, I would like to apologize. I never meant for anything like this to happen." Tsunade sat down on the bed as Naruto asked, "Who were those guys?" "They remind me of those root guys I fought all those years ago." "It's a secret, but Danzo petitioned the Fire Daimyo to allow him to reform root on the books," Tsunade remarked, causing Naruto and Temari to widen their eyes. "That's because they are," she continued. "He had several students from outside Konoha come in and become his first batch of shinobi," Tsunade said. "I could tell right away these kids were not normal, but I couldn't prove it," she said. "Ever since they became operational there have been multiple reports of their brutality," Tsunade said, "and this just proved it to everyone," she said. "What can be done?" Temari scowled, adding, "They almost killed Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen." Tsunade then jabbed at her. Temari nodded as Tsunade stated, "Kakashi's team is staying, but the other team is returning to Konoha." "Excellent," Temari replied. "It's been a year since I've seen you. Let's catch up," Tsunade said, seated next to Naruto. "Okay then now brat," Naruto grinned. Kurumi and Karen in the hotel room of Kiri. Karen looked at Kurumi, who was seated across from her, and said, "Okay, so fuck, marry, kill." Kurumi noticed the look of concentration on Karen's face and responded. Kurumi yelled, "Fuck Naruto, marry Gaara, kill Kankuro." Karen nodded, adding, "Naruto is cute, but he's not boyfriend material to me." "Gaara is like nice even though he's a little awkward," Kurumi stated, "and Kankuro, I don't know I can see him as either or," she replied. Kurumi said, "Okay, my turn. Fuck, marry, kill. My dad, that Kakashi guy, or that Lee boy." Karen fell into a deep contemplation. Karen's words, "Okay. Fuck Lee, marry your dad and kill Kakashi," caused Kurumi to widen her eyes. Kurumi said, "Really marry my dad?" "Explain," she replied. "Fuck that Lee boy because, well, I'm not going to lie, he looks like he has pretty good stamina. Also, did you not notice the bulge in his jumpsuit?" Karen said, and Kurumi nodded. "I see how happy your mom is, and I have to say I want that," Kurumi added. Karen added, and Kakashi, "I don't know, he seems like a pervert so he has to die," to which the other two girls burst out laughing. At that moment, Obito came into the room with takeout. "Hey girls, what's funny?" he inquired, and Karen answered. "Oh, just playing, fuck, marry, kill," Kurumi exclaimed. Karen said she'd marry you, she continued, and Obito removed his mask as Karen smacked her shoulder. With a silly smile, Obito said, "Ah, thanks Karen. But it can't be. I'm married to the most beautiful woman in the world. In the meantime, Suna Sango was eating pickles and drinking beer while lounging on the couch in her panties and an old tank top. She took another pickle out of the jar, dipped it in melted cheese, and took a bite. Sensing a rumbling in her stomach, Sango leaned to one side and farted loudly, chuckling to herself, "Wawa, that was a wet one." She turned back to the television and got up. Sango yelled at the television, "Oh, what the fuck, ref? That was a fumble. My Yase no Umas, wild horses or broncos, will get the ball back soon enough. UGHH. Stupid Shugeki. Shoss, Raiders." She then sat back down and swigged her beer. Returning with Kurumi, Karen, and Obito. As he opened his lunch and started to eat, Obito remarked, "I wonder if she's watching football right now." "Hey, Obito-sensei, how about you?" Karen asked. "Fuck, marry, kill. Mei Terumi, Lady Tsunade, or Naruto's mom Kushina," she exclaimed. Obito gave her a sidelong glance. "Oh my god, you really gave me a headache," Obito exclaimed. "Fuck Lady Tsunade, marry Kushina, and kill Mei," he continued, to which both of the girls leaned in and gave him sly looks. Kurumi said, "Oh really? Naruto's mom? Do tell," which made Obito flush. As he ate his meal, Obito whispered, "Well, I kind of had a crush on her, to be honest. I think it was her hair. Or maybe her big boobs." As Karen turned on the television, she exclaimed, "Okay, enough with that, let's look at the exams, shall we?" "Hey look, it's Kakashi's team," she added, and the three of them turned to watch the screen. Alongside Lee, Hinata, and Sakura. "No running away from me," Sakura yelled as she drove her fist into the water, creating a giant wave that sent the Kumo ninja flying into a lake. He then emerged from the water and saw Sakura leaping into the air with her fist cocked. "Shaw!" Sakura roared as she did so. When the Kumo ninja saw Sakura coming toward him, he stood up coughing up water and prepared his sword by charging it with lightning chakra. When Sakura realized this, she grinned and raised both of her hands to her sides, opening them to release chirping sounds. Raitenkan, lightning dagger, was what Sakura thought. Although she attempted to learn the Chidori, her lack of a lightning affinity prevented her from using it like Sasuke or Kakashi. She was able to alter it, though, and utilize a weakened version on her hands to support her taijutsu. When Sakura got close to the Kumo ninja, he raised his sword and slashed at her, but Sakura blocked the blow with her hand covered in light. When she got closer, Sakura's hand went through the boy's sword and speared him in the stomach, causing him to cough up blood and fall to the ground. Sakura grinned and said, "Don't worry, I'll heal you when this is over." She then turned to face her two teammates. In a furious taijutsu duel, Hinata was facing off against another Kumo ninja. As the Kumo ninja advanced, Hinata retreated. The Kumo ninja attempted to kick Hinata in the head, but Hinata deflected the blow before it could land. He then struck a chakra point in his leg, causing him to cry out in agony. When he hit the ground, Hinata attacked, hitting him in the chest, the forehead, and the gut before finally knocking him out. He then proceeded to sweep him off his one remaining leg. As Hinata stood up and bowed, Sakura rolled her eyes and laughed. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I just can't let my team down," Hinata said tremblingly. Sakura was shocked and thought, "Same old Hinata, and how Lee, oh what the hell." Sakura. "Look," Lee exclaimed, pointing to the Kumo shinobi he was battling as well as an Iwa team. "I think this secures our victory," he said, giving her the thumbs up. "I defeated my enemy and also the other team involved." Sakura and Hinata gave him a wide-eyed look before giggling. "Excellent work, Lee. You really went above and beyond," Sakura remarked, grinning. "Excellent work, Lee," Hinata praised him, "you are quite young." A moment later, Lee picked her up and gave her a hug. Lee said, "Hinata, you are so youthful to say I'm youthful," which made Hinata blush and make an effort to pull away. Hinata yelled, "Sakura help," and Sakura giggled. Lee released Hinata after Sakura said, "Okay, that's enough, youth, for the day. I hope you are watching over me and giving me strength, Naruto," Sakura mused. Alongside Temari, Tsunade, and Naruto. Naruto shouted from his hospital bed, "Yeah, way to go guys. You see, I told you they would pass no sweat. Oh man, I kind of want to fight Sakura now, or maybe Bushy Brows, but Hinata looks skilled too." He spoke quickly. Chilled out Naruto. You'll probably fight one of them later, Tsunade said, soothing the hyperactive blonde in the bed as Temari and Tsunade both rolled their eyes. Although I would like to see him fight Sakura. It'll be an interesting match, Tsunade added. Temari remarked, I'll admit though Sakura seems a lot stronger than the last time, recalling the embarrassingly awful fight from the previous Chunin exams. Tsunade looked at Naruto and remarked, that's because she's been working her ass off. Training with me, Kakashi, and Kurenai has made her a whole lot stronger. All for her dream. Naruto received a dejected smile in response to her statement, she wants to become Hokage and honor you. And if it were up to me, I'd do it in 5 or 6 years. Well, that's good to hear, Naruto grumbled. I wish I could tell her how proud I am of her. And that she obtains her dream, he replied. Kami knows I'll never get it, thought Naruto. Temari consoled him by placing her hand on his shoulder, and Tsunade developed a dejected expression. Tsunade thought, crap, I probably shouldn't have mentioned that part. Some wounds, she realized, never fully heal. I'm sorry, Naruto. I didn't mean to, Tsunade started, but Naruto interrupted. Naruto tried to ignore it, saying, it's fine, Granny Tsunade. Let's just watch the rest of the matches. Tomorrow. Kiri Conference Hall. Standing alongside the other teams that had successfully completed the second exam were Naruto and his team, Sakura's team, 2 Iwa teams, a Kiri team, and a Spring Country team. Naruto was thinking, whoa, looks like we got some competition, when he noticed Katsu approaching with Mei and Temari. Hello everyone, I'm Katsuragi from Spring Country and I will be your proctor for the third and final phase of the Chunin exams. Katsu announced with enthusiasm. Now then we have 6 teams in total, so I decided for another team. Based exam, she continued. Katsu looked at each examinee in disbelief as she said, I decided to switch one member from every team with another. Yep, one of you will be working with a team that you know nothing about in a team. Based battle. And here are the teams, she added, holding up a list. As soon as Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen saw the list, their mouths dropped. Team Suna. Karen, Kurumi, and Lee Rock. Team Konoha. Menma, Sakura Haruno, and Hinata Hyuga. As he listened to Katsu finish her statement, Naruto smiled behind his mask and winked at Temari. No way I get to work with Sakura and Hinata again, he thought to himself. You will only swap back to your original team if you are facing them at any point in the exam. But other than that, the rules are no killing and no maiming, Katsu stated. Everyone nodded. Okay, with nothing else to say, you all have 1 month to train. Good luck, Katsu responded. When Sakura and Hinata both felt a tap on Naruto's shoulder, he turned to face them. I can't wait to work with you, Menma, Sakura exclaimed. Let's try and win this thing if we can, Naruto nodded. Let's try our hardest, Hinata said, interlocking her fingers. Sakura and Hinata nodded in agreement as Naruto said, you got it. Glad to be along for the ride. As Naruto spoke with Sakura and Hinata, Karen and Kurumi were watching. Lee then approached and grinned brightly, saying, hello ladies, nice to meet you again. I promise that I will try my hardest to bring us to victory. Both Karen and Kurumi smiled. Kurumi shook Lee's hand and said, thanks. I'm excited to work with you, Lee. Karen shook his hand and then turned to face Kurumi. Kurumi made a certain motion with her tongue and hand, and Karen gave her a glare. Lee spun around to see Kurumi using a kunai to clean her nails. Lee said, perplexed. Is there a problem? He inquired. Nope, Karen replied, attempting to contain her rage at Kurumi. After a short while, Mizukage Tower. Mei, Temari, Katsu, and Obito were facing Naruto, Kurumi, and Karen. Hey everyone, I have some exciting news. Obito exclaimed, turning to Katsu. We have an offer we can't turn down, but I was planning on staying here to train you all. Lady Koyuki has offered for you all to come to the Land of Spring to train, Katsu explained. Room and board is taken care of and you will all be in a nice little house a little bit away from the castle, she added. That's great, I haven't been there in a long time, exclaimed Naruto. Hey Temari, are you coming too? He inquired, to which Temari nodded. Temari remarked, well, who else is going to help you with your wind jutsu, and Naruto grinned the widest. Oh yeah, Naruto exclaimed. Oh man, when are we leaving? Katsu then said. Katsu said, tomorrow morning. So, go and pack your crap. Obito and Naruto left the room right away. I have to go too. I have to get the wife for our little getaway, Obito uttered before disappearing into a vortex. She's going to flip out when she hears this, he continued. Mei, Katsu, Karen, and Kurumi turned to face Temari, who said, okay, now that the boys are gone, I need all of your help. While yes, we are going to be training, there is something else happening during the next month, Temari added. Mei inquired, what is it? Kurumi snapped her fingers. Oh no, I completely forgot it's Naruto's birthday, Kurumi exclaimed as Temari gestured to her. Bingo and I have decided to give him a birthday present that he will cherish forever, Temari said. I need your help, ladies, to make sure it's perfect, Katsu interrupted. Katsu asked, and what are you planning? Temari grinned and turned to face the four women. Their eyes widened as Temari said, I'm planning on giving myself to Naruto. That's right, ladies. On Naruto's birthday, I'm going to take his virginity, she declared with pride. Me, Temari, and Naruto on a ship off the coast of Spring Country. Naruto looked off the side of the ship and exclaimed, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's been so long since I've been there. His excitement was almost unbearable. Kurumi sat down in a chair and drank a soda. Calm down, ya hyper monkey. We're gonna be there for an entire month, so chill, she said. Naruto grinned and said, I can't help it, I'm so excited. He then went to put his arm around Temari's waist and added, plus, this is the first time Temari and I have gone on a vacation outside of Suna. Rolling her eyes, Temari said something. Temari remarked, be patient. I'm excited too. Karen, who was reading a book in a chair, remarked, oh, I'm sure you're just as excited as Naruto. Aren't you, Temari? After all, you get to spend time with Naruto, she smirked. Unaware of Karen's statement, Naruto remarked, well duh, she'll spend time with me. She's my girlfriend. Temari, on the other hand, gave the smirking Karen a scowl. Temari said, shut the fuck up bitch, and Karen smiled even more. Hey, where are your sensei and Sango? Karen asked, and Kurumi moaned. Guess what Kurumi said? In a cabin. Sango and Obito. After catching up, Obito and his wife were both sweaty and naked. Oh shit. Oh fuck, Obito panted as he rolled off of Sango and onto his side of the bed. I missed you so much babe, Obito said, putting his arm around his wife. Sango crawled up to kiss him and said, I missed you too, baby. It was fun at first, but I got lonely. She then drew circles on his chest. Sango remarked, I missed my well. Hung hubby, to which Obito grinned. As he pulled her onto him, Obito remarked, well in that case, let's get busy. Sango laughed and said, oh Obito, you're such a horn dog. Rejoining the group. Kurumi shivered and said, I don't even want to know how bad that room smells. Kurumi nodded as Karen asked, wait, is that why you always stay at my place on the weekends? Kurumi laughed and said, yeah, my parents fuck like rabbits. How I'm the only child they ever had is a mystery to me. Not visible to them, three teenagers, disguised in civilian clothes, were surveilling them. The boy leading the group glanced at his two companions. Alpha and Delta's team underestimated then and lost. We will not make that mistake, he said, drawing nods from both of his teammates. Theta, Iota. Keep watch on those four and remember our orders, he continued. It's a shame we couldn't continue in the exams, Eta, said Theta. Even the last remaining Konoha team wanted us gone. And for what doing what ninja do, he continued. Remember Theta. We are strong, they're weak, Iota, the lone female member of the group, mockingly remarked that she was clouded by emotions and attachments. We won't fail our mission, Eta remarked, just remember to tail them. The others nodded and kept their eyes on Naruto and his group. The country dock in spring. After getting off the ship, Naruto, Temari, Kurumi, Karen, Obito, and Sango walked down the dock where they saw Lady Koyuki and her guards waiting. Koyuki bowed and said, greetings, Lady Temari and her fellow Suna shinobi. Welcome to Spring Country. Temari bowed in return and said, pleasure is all ours. Everyone nodded as Koyuki said, so shall we take you to your home for the next month? After 2 hours. This is our home, I hope you all enjoy it, Koyuki remarked as she stood in front of a farmhouse style home surrounded by a meadow and snow capped mountains in the distance. Karen exclaimed, wiping her glasses and putting them back on. Oh my god. Kurumi said, it's beautiful, her eyes widening. Obito exclaimed, I can't believe this, and Sango gave a nod. Naruto remarked, this house is adorable, as he peered at it. Hey, look an outhouse, he said, gesturing to a tiny structure. You have indoor plumbing, Koyuki remarked, pointing to the shed. Hey, look at this well, Naruto remarked, gesturing to a stone building. With a drop of sweat, Koyuki remarked, that's a fire pit. Look, an archery range, Naruto exclaimed, gesturing to a number of dilapidated wooden targets. That's an archery range, actually, yeah, Koyuki remarked, causing everyone else to start perspiring. What is this place? It's so nice, Temari said she didn't think they would be staying here. This is the Kazuhana family country lodge, Koyuki stated, me and my extended family used to come here when I was a child. Upon returning I refurbished it to be a guest house for diplomats and other important people, she continued. There are multiple bedrooms and bathrooms, an indoor bathhouse, a living room and a kitchen, said Koyuki. Well, thank goodness there's a kitchen, Sango exclaimed. I'll admit it, I kind of missed cooking for y'all, she continued, causing Naruto and the others to blush with shame. And also, for your training for the Chunin exams you can use the fields around the house, Koyuki continued. There are no wild animals nearby or trees to knock or burn down. So, train to your heart's content, she replied with a grin. Naruto praised Koyuki, making her blush. Koyuki, you really are the best, he said. And sorry if you went through any trouble for us, he added. Koyuki shook her head. No trouble at all. Naruto grinned at the thought of him and his former team when Koyuki remarked, it's the least I could do for you, Naruto. After all, you and your team made all this possible. Okay, enough chit-chat. Let's eat some food. Temari nodded when Sango said, Temari honey, could ya help me? As their stay in spring approached, everyone started to enter the house after Temari responded, sure, I'd love to. On Naruto's birthday, 1 week later, in the field beside the house, alongside Temari and Naruto. Temari opened her fan and brought it back, using her wind scythe jutsu. She then swung her fan at Naruto, causing a strong wind current. Both Naruto and Temari were staring at each other as they gripped their fans. When Naruto saw this, he lifted his fan above his head and opened it. After swinging down to the ground, Naruto produced a gust of wind that propelled him skyward and above Temari's blow. With his two smaller fans out and his large fan put away, Naruto took to the air. In order to avoid seriously hurting Temari, Naruto then started to fire weak wind blades at her. Temari saw this coming and started to run, dodging the wind blades as they flew past her. Temari opened her fan again after spinning around, ducking beneath another wind blade, and sending Naruto, who was still in midair, a wall of wind with a single swing. As the jutsu struck him and sent him sprawling to the ground, Naruto braced himself. He rolled into a crouch and saw Temari approach with her fan closed. Temari swung it at Naruto, who rolled aside and closed his fans, using them as blunt weapons. Temari used her fan to deflect the blow. Temari grabbed Naruto's hand to stop him from swinging his other fan. When Naruto landed hard on the ground and looked up, he saw Temari's foot descending over his face. Temari had grabbed Naruto and flipped him over her shoulder. Temari lost her balance and fell to the ground when Naruto grabbed her foot and pushed it to the side. Naruto then jumped onto Temari, and the two started to struggle until Naruto grabbed both of her hands and pinned them to the ground. Temari pouted and cocked her head to the side as Naruto went down and planted a kiss on her lips. I win, babe, he said with a seductive smile. Temari remarked, you just got lucky, and Naruto moved his hands to tickle her. Naruto. Get over it, you bastard. Ha 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 ha. When Naruto stopped and Temari started to pant, she laughed. Temari said, you know I'm ticklish. After he got off her, Naruto remarked, I know. I just like to do that to annoy you, he said, laying down in the grass. I'm not going to lie. If we keep training like this I will kick ass in the tournament, Naruto replied. By the way, thanks for putting me with Sakura and Hinata. It means a lot for me to work with them again, even though they don't know it's me, he said as Temari smirked and rolled over. Naruto laughed as Temari responded, of course, nothing like showing favoritism to my boyfriend by letting him work with his old friends. Temari stood up and said, okay, get your ass up. We got a special dinner to go to. Naruto grinned in response. You didn't have to throw me a birthday party, Naruto replied, it's just. Temari cut Naruto off before he could speak. I didn't have to. But I wanted to, Temari replied, because you always go out of your way for mine. I'm going out of my way for yours, she replied. Naruto stood up, took Temari's hand, and said, well then. Let's not keep the party waiting. Then, he and Temari started to head back to the house while holding hands. At the house, with Naruto hours later at night. After taking a shower, Naruto dried his hair with a towel. He grinned at everything that had happened and thought, man, that was a good little party. He gets a cake from Kurumi and Sango, a song from Karen, movies from Koyuki, his first legal sip of sake from Obito, and a special coupon from Temari that saves 50% on a special ramen box with more than 100 flavors. Naruto thought to himself as he changed into pajamas and left the bathroom, I'm a lucky guy. After leaving the house, Naruto noticed that it was dark and that there was no noise. Thinking, maybe everyone is in the living room? He walked over to the room and exclaimed, hey, is anyone here? In confusion. Temari yelled from her in Naruto's room, in here, Naruto. As soon as he opened the door, Naruto asked, hey Temari, where is everyone? And, did they all just? Naruto started, but then he just stood there. Candlelight lit the room, revealing Temari sitting on the bed's edge. Her hair was down, and she was dressed in a purple see-through nightgown, white underwear, and a bra. Temari, Naruto blushed. Temari stood up and approached Naruto. Naruto, we've been together for years, and I can say without a doubt, I love you with all my heart, she said, grabbing his hands. I asked them all to leave for the night for privacy, Temari said. Naruto, you are my one true love. I've seen you at your best and your worst and you've seen me there too, Temari stated. We've broken down our barriers and exposed ourselves and now there is one last barrier, she blushed. Naruto, tonight, I want to give myself to you. I want you to be my first time and I yours, she replied. Temari nodded in response to Naruto's question, Are you sure? Yes, Naruto. I want to make love with you, Temari asked, what do you say? And Naruto nodded after observing how stunning Temari appeared in the candlelight. Temari gave Naruto a little smile in return when he said, yes, I want to. Temari was lying on the bed with her eyes closed, breathing heavily and perspiring. Wow, that was amazing, Temari exclaimed. Suddenly, she felt something wet hit her face. She thought to herself. Naruto. Are you crying, what's wrong? Temari worriedly asked as she opened her eyes. Looking down at Temari, Naruto sobbed and said, I don't know. It's unbelievable. I never imagined it would happen, Naruto exclaimed. I'm just so happy right now. I love you, Temari, Naruto said, grinning. I always thought I'd end up alone. I never thought I'd experience something like this. Temari started to cry. I love you too, Naruto, Temari said through tears as she grasped Naruto's face and pulled him down to kiss him. Happy birthday, Temari added. Temari and Naruto lay in bed together and held each other until they nodded off. The following day, Koyuki Castle. Kurumi remarked, I wonder if they're up yet, as she and Obito left the castle and made their way back to the residence where Naruto and Temari had spent the night. Obito remarked, knowing what they were doing probably not, and Kurumi gave him a sidelong glance. Oh really? Then why are you up, Obito blushed behind his mask as Kurumi said, oh Obito, like that. Geez. Obito said, wait, you hear that, and Kurumi gave him a glare of rage. Kurumi said, the whole damn castle hears it, which embarrassed Obito. By the way, you and Mom are disgusting, she added. Oh crap, Obito said, well honey, you have to realize that me and your mother have been married for a long time. And in order to spice things up he began. Kurumi started, oh my god, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear. Suddenly, she and her father stopped in the middle of the road after spotting a figure in a cloak. Kurumi said, excuse me, but who are you? As she and Obito went to stand guard alongside Temari and Naruto. Now that they were dressed, Temari grinned and said, okay, babe, let's go. I hope they have those waffles like last time. They were leaving for Koyuki's castle. Temari said, hopefully they have blueberry syrup. Naruto grabbed her, and the two of them left the house. After only a few steps, Naruto and Temari were completely startled by what they saw: 3 dead and disfigured root ninjas on the ground. What really alarmed them, though, was the person standing next to the dead ninjas. Asuka stood there clutching her blood stained twin hook swords, while Akeno, with her bow and a few arrows in her hand, leaned against a tree. Asuka was staring at Naruto with an intense look of rage and hatred. Good morning, killer, Asuka uttered. With Kurumi and Obito. Obito uttered the words, oh fuck me, as the figure emerged, his glowing Sharingan eyes glaring at him and Kurumi. As the figure gradually revealed himself, Obito felt his blood run cold at the person he was facing. Obito said, Itachi, and Kurumi experienced a level of fear she had never experienced before because the man who had killed her clan was now standing in front of her. Itachi looked at Obito and said, Itachi, I see you hiding behind a mask. It seems like I was right when I always thought your death could have been fake. He then removed his cloak to reveal his root Anbu uniform. Itachi pulled out his sword and said, well, no matter. Lord Danzo ordered me to kill the Uchiha. Looks like my mission is about to be finally completed. Snow Country, Temari and Naruto together. Standing next to Temari, Naruto was staring down the first 2 people in a long line of people he never wanted to see again. Akeno was holding her bow with several arrows in her left hand, while Asuka was holding her twin hook swords and staring at Naruto with a face full of hate and rage. Asuka had changed since Naruto had last seen her. She wore a plain black muscle shirt that exposed her bandaged arms, along with blue combat pants, 2 pouches on her hips, and a scratched Yuga headband on her forehead that prevented her brown hair from falling in her eyes. Akeno, meantime, was still wearing her old Yuga Anbu uniform, even though she hadn't been a ninja for a very long time. Looking at the 2 women, Naruto felt his heart start to race. How did you find me? He nervously asked. We were watching the Chunin exams in Kiri on TV when we were in Kumo, Asuka said with a scowl. While we didn't see your face, we recognized that redhead and that black-haired girl you were with, she continued. We put 2 and 2 together and we made our way to Kiri and asked around. According to Asuka, found out the Suna team was going to Spring Country, so we came here to see if we were right, she continued. And we were, Akeno stated, gesturing to the 3 dead root ninjas on the ground. We were coming here to kill you when these 3 tried to stop us. Akeno stated, put the emphasis on tried, as you can see the results for yourself. When Temari heard all of this, she felt compelled to speak up, telling everyone to just walk away, in an attempt to defuse the situation. Asuka looked at Naruto and said, no dice, Blondie. My mission in life is to kill this prick, and that's what I'm going to do. You got away from me once. You won't do it again, said Asuka. As soon as Naruto pulled out a kunai and his gauntlet blade, yelling, fine, you want me, Asuka grinned and lunged towards him. As Temari reached for her fan to help Naruto, an arrow passed over her head, forcing her to back off. Your battle is with me, Akeno yelled as she started to run and shot Temari with her bow at the same moment. Temari then opened and returned her fan. Temari used her fan to launch a wind jutsu towards Akeno, who used hand signals to create a mud wall, in Earth style. Akeno then slammed her hands onto the ground to form a wall of mud that shielded her from the jutsu. As soon as it subsided, Akeno hurried outside, put an arrow on her bow, and shot Temari with it. Temari ducked to the side to avoid the arrow, which nearly struck her and tore a hole in her shirt. She jumped back and started to counter, thinking, damn, this isn't good, and where the hell is everybody? With Kurumi and Obito. Kurumi charged in, trying to cut Itachi in half with her sword, but Itachi brandished his own and deflected the blow with a loud clang. Kurumi spat blood when Itachi kicked her in the face and twisted his blade, taking her with it. As he turned to pursue, Obito used his vortex to emerge from behind and stab him. Fire style. Fireball jutsu was Itachi's hand sign as she leapt back and launched a massive fireball at Kurumi and Obito. Kurumi, seeing this, also went through hand signs. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Kurumi fired a smaller fireball at Itachi's, but Itachi's fireball prevailed as it moved closer to her. Grabbing her, Obito pulled her behind him while suckling the fireball in his kamui and sending it to his pocket dimension. After finishing, Obito threw away his mask, thinking, this is getting in the way. Then, he reached behind him and produced a scroll, thinking, I never thought I'd ever need to use this, as he opened it. A cloud of smoke billowed in, and a gunby fan with a chain hanging from the handle encircled Obito's arm. Upon noticing this, Itachi's eyes narrowed. That's Madara Uchiha's gunby. How did he get his hands on such a sacred Uchiha relic? He wondered. Kurumi said, Pa, you had a fan, and Obito nodded. Absently, Obito answered, yeah, I got it from an old man I knew from a long time ago. Kurumi went over it in her mind, thinking, damn, now I kind of want one. She also thought about how Temari, Naruto, and now her father had fans. That won't help you, Obito, Itachi remarked, closing his eye to reveal, Susanoo. He then called forth his Susanoo and turned to face two of the three Uchiha that were still alive. Now then, let me demonstrate to you the pointlessness of resisting the inevitable, he said. Itachi returned his arm from Susanoo and swung it at Kurumi and Obito. Kurumi leapt back and over the arm as Obito phased through his arm with his kamui. However, Obito was taken aback when Itachi's arm connected him and sent him sailing. After correcting himself, Obito landed a short distance away. As his implanted Hashirama cells started to reform his right ribs, Obito thought, I'm glad my right side isn't real flesh. Kurumi said, Pa, are you okay? And Obito nodded. Yeah, I'm okay, Obito replied, whispering the last part to himself. Looks like my kamui won't work against a Susanoo. Alongside Naruto. To avoid getting in Temari's way or giving Asuka any support, Naruto shifted the fight away from Temari and Akeno. However, Asuka and Naruto were fighting in an open, grassy field with no cover, so neither side had an advantage. Asuka swung one of her twin hook swords at Naruto, narrowly missing his neck as he dove backwards. Naruto then charged her, slashing at her with his gauntlet blade. Asuka sidestepped and blocked with her sword's crescent handguard, but Naruto hurled the kunai he was holding at Asuka's head. When the blade sliced Asuka's cheek and several strands of her brunette hair off, she turned her head to the side. Naruto then kicked her in the chest, sending her flying. But Asuka corrected herself, landed, and launched herself at Naruto once more. She doubled the length of her twin hooks by hooking their ends together. Asuka surprised Naruto by swinging her swords at him. The bottom blade cut Naruto in the stomach before swinging back around and Asuka grasping it to disconnect both swords and hold one in each hand once more. Naruto noticed a small flesh wound on his stomach when he looked down. The sword had sliced through his shirt, jacket, and mesh armor underneath. Damn, that's sharp, Naruto thought to himself. The wound on Naruto started to sizzle and eventually healed completely. Inside Naruto's head, Kyuubi uttered the words, Brat, this is embarrassing. It laughed, you have the strongest of the 9 Biju inside you. Yet you are wounded by a mere child. I'm not going to use you against her. I'm finishing this myself, Naruto thought to himself, screw you, fox. Asuka said, causing Naruto to turn to face her, what's wrong? You giving up already? Well good, because I want to kill you as soon as possible. And then I'll kill your girlfriend next, Asuka continued. Naruto gave this speaker a scowl. Nobody poses a threat to Temari, Naruto remarked. You miss your dad so much? That's good, because you're going to see him soon, he added, infuriating Asuka. With her swords at her sides, ready to kill Naruto, Asuka charged at him once more. Naruto, with his free hand, removed one of his little fans and opened it. With a backward motion, Naruto launched a wind blade towards Asuka, who dodged under it. He then closed his fan, using it as a blunt weapon in addition to his gauntlet blade, while cursing. Alongside Temari. Temari stopped and brought back her fan, the Wind Scythe Jutsu, and then swung her fan to launch a potent wind jutsu at Akeno as she pursued her through the surrounding forest, trying not to lose her in the never ending rows of trees. As the wind jutsu blew past her, shredding the bark on the tree and causing leaves to blow around like a blizzard, Akeno slid under a log and sought shelter behind a tree. As soon as it subsided, Akeno sprinted out from behind the tree, loaded her bow, and pulled back the string. As she did so, she fired a shot at Temari and then hid behind a different tree. When Temari saw the arrow heading her way, she closed her fan and shielded herself with its blunt side. The arrow made a * ping sound as it struck the fan and then bounced off a tree. As Temari ducked behind a tree, she thought, damn it, she's fast and accurate. We're both long range fighters, but my taijutsu is nothing to scoff at. Temari thought, I have an idea. It just might work, as she extracted several smoke bombs from her pouch. Akeno was concealed by the foliage, looking around for Temari. Where are you at, Blondie? She thought to herself as she peered around, and she noticed something flying out in the shape of a round object. Akeno let go and shot her arrow. It struck the target and burst into smoke, giving her the impression that it was a smoke bomb. Emerging from her cover, Temari swung her fan, creating a concentrated wall of wind that she directed toward the general direction of the arrow's source. Oh shit, Akeno thought to herself as she stood up and attempted to flee, only to be struck by a wind jutsu and launched into a tree that was several yards away. She hit the tree and collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Catching her breath, Akeno looked up to see Temari, her fan closed, above her. Got you, Temari yelled as she lowered her fan. Akeno dodged the blow as the fan crashed into the ground, shattering it. Damn it, Temari exclaimed as she got up and struck Akeno again, this time ducking beneath the fan. After dropping her bow, Akeno punched Temari, hitting her jaw and causing her to drop her fan. Temari quickly got back up, grabbed Akeno's arm, and executed a judo throw that knocked her to the ground. After that, Temari mounted Akeno and started punching her repeatedly. Akeno had to catch Temari's hand after 5 punches. After pulling Temari in, Akeno turned over and grabbed hold of Temari, choking her with her hands around her neck. Temari felt as though her oxygen and blood supply were being cut off, and she started to gag and struggle. Temari used her right arm to strike Akeno in the elbows, causing them to bend and causing her to lose her grip. Temari knocked Akeno off with a flexible kick to the back of her head. When Temari saw what Akeno was doing, she ran and grabbed her bow just in time to see Temari launch a wind jutsu, which she narrowly avoided. You can't run forever, Temari said as she chased after her. Temari got up and went over to her fan, opening it while coughing. Bitch, Temari said hoarsely as she opened her fan. With Kurumi and Obito. Kurumi was preparing to attack Itachi again by making hand gestures. Are you ready, Pa? Kurumi asked, and Obito nodded. As he returned his gunby fan, Obito said, do it sweetie. Kurumi stopped on her last hand signal and inhaled deeply. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Kurumi launched an excessively powerful fireball in Itachi's direction. Observing this, Obito used the wind powered gunby fan to increase the force of Kurumi's fireball. The outcome was an enormous fire that was moving in Itachi's direction. Itachi brought his Susanoo Yada mirror and thought, fools. The fire storm entered the mirror, and Itachi then redirected it back towards Obito and Kurumi. When Obito realized what he had done, he let out a loud, oh fuck, and used his Kamui to draw the fire into his pocket dimension. Even though Hashirama's cells should be continuously healing his eye, as he was doing this, his eye started to strain. When the inferno subsided, Obito fell to his knee and sighed, thinking, holy crap, that took a lot of chakra. Fortunately, nothing was hurt because everything went to his dimension. Meanwhile, in the dimension of Obito's pocket. Obito! Black Zetsu exclaimed before collapsing to the ground and losing consciousness. Gah! He cried as he was engulfed in flames that appeared out of nowhere. Having spent almost 16 years alone and confined in Obito's pocket dimension, Black Zetsu eventually passed away. Returning with Kurumi and Obito. With his Susanoo's sword ready to swing, Itachi charged towards Obito and Kurumi. As the sword ripped through the earth and smashed the surrounding trees, Obito and Kurumi scrambled to avoid the path of the sword. Kurumi chose to stand beside Itachi and proceeded to use hand signals that read, Fire Style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. In an attempt to harm Itachi's Susanoo, Kurumi fired several fireballs at it. But when the fireballs struck, they had no effect at all, so Itachi turned his attention to her and swung his Susanoo's sword at Kurumi. Kurumi was about to dodge when all of a sudden, Itachi and Kurumi were both taken aback by a wall of ice that stopped the sword. Itachi's Susanoo was abruptly struck in the back and sustained some minor injuries. Upon turning around, he observed multiple chakra chains returning to their rightful owner. Kurumi called out, "Karen, Katsu," with a sigh of relief. Karen and Katsu leapt from the tree and turned to face Itachi. Karen adjusted her glasses and said, "You guys can't go on a walk without running into trouble." "So then, who is this guy?" Karen asked, turning to face Itachi. "Who cares?" Katsu responded, "Trespassing in Spring Country, attacking guests of Our Lady Koyuki and damaging her countryside." "You will not get away with this," she replied. Itachi watched the two new enemies approach and thought to himself, red hair and chakra chains. Must be a survivor of the Uzumaki clan. Then, he glanced at Katsu and thought, and if I'm not mistaken, she's Koyuki Kazuhana's personal bodyguard. Itachi remained silent. As he cancelled his Susanoo, he considered, best not use my Mangekyo anymore unless I run the risk of straining my eyes. Karen, Katsu. Be careful, he's no ordinary ninja, he's Itachi Uchiha, Obito said as his eyes widened. He's the one who killed the entire Uchiha clan in a single night. And he was also Konoha's youngest Anbu commander at only 13 inches, said he. Katsu said, "Who cares, we're gonna kick his ass," and assumed a fighting stance. Itachi said, "More pests coming to die," pulling out his sword. "Fine with me," he said, charging Katsu, who saw this and gave hand signals. Ice style. Ice claws. Katsu charged at Itachi while forming ice claws on her hands. Itachi retaliated by blocking with his sword. Katsu persisted in her attacks, forcing Itachi to retreat in order to avoid becoming motionless. As he did so, Obito appeared from behind, attempting to hit Itachi with his gunbai, but Itachi ducked and tried to slit him instead. But before Itachi could use his ability, Obito used his Kamui to phase through the attack and land a punch in Itachi's face. Itachi recovered and kicked Obito in the chest. Katsu tried to slit Itachi's back with her claws, but Itachi sidestepped them and avoided the cut. Not one to be left out, Kurumi charged in on Itachi, sword ready. She slashed at him with her own, but Itachi parried with his own and knocked her sword to the side. Kurumi, on the other hand, bounced back and started to move forward, slashing and stabbing Itachi, who easily parried and blocked her blows. Kurumi was growing frustrated that she was failing to connect on even one hit. Kurumi moved in for a stab, but Itachi anticipated this and stepped aside, allowing Kurumi to approach him while brandishing his sword. Because of her two Tomo Sharingan, Kurumi saw the blade approaching her face slowly. As it approached, Kurumi thought, "This is it." Itachi felt his arm being pulled back, causing him to fall backwards before his blade could sever her head. Glancing around, Itachi noticed a glowing chain encircling his wrist. "Can't use you eyes to see what's behind you, asshole," Karen thought as she used her chakra chain to stop Itachi from slicing Kurumi's head off. Itachi then looked at her and activated Amaterasu with his right eye. When Obito, who was rising to the surface, saw that a fierce black flame was running up the chakra chain and back to Karen, he yelled, "Karen, cut off your chain and get away." When Karen heard this, she severed her chain, which was now burning the grass and advancing without showing any signs of stopping. A few inches away from her, the chain fell to the ground engulfed in black flames. "Damn it. Where the hell is Naruto and Temari when we need them?" Obito exclaimed as he stood back up and turned to face Itachi, who had now resumed his standing position. Alongside Temari. While dodging Akino's arrows that were flying past her head, Temari was sprinting to a different tree when one of the arrows missed its target. Temari was struck by one of Akino's arrows in her left calf, causing her to fall onto her face and get dirt in her mouth. She saw the arrow halfway through her muscle and gritted her teeth. It only took Temari a few hobbles to get to the next tree, where she took cover. "Shit," Temari said as she stood back up. "Phewick," Temari moaned as she peered down at her leg. Temari broke both ends of the arrow, removed the headband from her forehead, removed the plate, and wrapped her wound with the cloth. She exhaled a breath of relief when she tried wrapping the cloth around the arrow shaft that was still in her leg. Temari told herself, "Okay, calm down and think. I can't run anymore. She has my position," Temari reasoned. "What can I do to get out of this situation?" Temari asked herself, considering all of her options because there was no room for error. "Okay, then, fuck it," Temari exclaimed as she stood on the one leg that was still intact. "Okay, lady." Let's see you get up from this, Temari said as she opened her fan and reached down to her wound, dabbing her hand on it to draw blood. She then dragged her bloody fingers across the fan to create a long red line. Temari made the hand gesture, Naruto. Looks like I need to borrow your jutsu, just before she left. Akeno was hiding behind a tree, waiting for Temari to move so she could shoot her. To slow Temari down, Akeno deliberately shot her in the exposed legs. Now that she was hurt, Akeno thought, come on out, girl. I have an arrow with your name on it. It was a waiting game. Akeno thought as she led Temari. There, Temari suddenly sprinted out from behind her cover. Akeno then released the string on her bow and let her arrow fly. As Akeno watched, the arrow flew straight towards Temari, entering her temple and exiting through the other side of her skull. Upon witnessing the blonde Suna Kunoichi stumble, Akeno grinned. But her smile vanished when Temari started to smoke, leaving her wide-eyed and thinking frantically, what? Fan cocked back, Temari emerged from behind her cover. With the help of the shadow clone jutsu, Temari created a decoy to trick Akeno into giving away her position. Thinking to herself, Naruto, I owe you a bowl of ramen for teaching me that jutsu. Temari quickly swung her fan forward and yelled, summoning jutsu, quick beheading dance. With a swing of her fan, Temari called forth Kamatari, the weasel. Kamatari used the wind from the jutsu to launch an attack while brandishing his enormous kama. After the wind's jutsu subsided and a massive cloud of sawdust and dirt was produced, Temari covered her eyes and looked out at the destruction her jutsu had caused. The formerly stunning landscape was strewn with miles and miles of split trees. Temari looked and saw red among the sea of green. Her entire body was crushed beneath the tree trunk, leaving only her arm to serve as a marker for her location. Her blood spattered like a paint can bursting open, revealing that she had once been a human. With a sigh of relief, Temari started to jog slowly towards the location where she last saw Naruto. Hold on, Naruto, I'm coming, she thought to herself as she hobbled towards her boyfriend. Alongside Naruto. Naruto pulled out both of his little fans and started to shoot wind blades at the sprinting girl, yelling, stay still you little shit. Naruto followed Asuka as she led him along the edge of a small ravine with a roaring river underneath. Asuka saw the wind blades approaching her, so she leapt to her feet and used the walk on walls method to run along the ravine's walls. She then placed both of her twin hook swords on her back and started to make hand gestures. Earth style. Rock slide, Asuka stamped on the wall of the ravine, causing it to tremble. Naruto lost his balance as a result, and the wall broke and collapsed. Naruto started to descend the approximately 100-foot drop to the river below. With a swift motion, Naruto released his small fans, allowing them to fall into the water below, and grabbed his medium-sized fan. With a powerful gust of wind, he swung the fan and shot himself back up to the top of the ravine. Asuka returned, waving through another set of hand signals that read, water style, water spouts. Naruto crouched down to regain his footing and turned to face the edge of the ravine. Asuka conjured up multiple water spouts from the river below and hurled them in Naruto's direction. Wind style. Wind sickle jutsu was unleashed as Naruto cocked back his fan. He swung his fan, creating multiple wind blades that collided with the water spouts. The two jutsus cancelled each other out, and Asuka quickly closed the distance by drawing both of her swords and charging at Naruto. When Naruto saw this, he closed his fan and prepared to use it as a melee weapon. Naruto swung the fan at Asuka, but she dodged before it could make contact with her head. When Naruto jumped back, Asuka's sword missed the target and ripped his jacket once more. Nevertheless, Asuka continued and swung her sword at Naruto's leg, cutting just above his knee. Blood spurted from Naruto's leg, causing him to scream. However, he clenched his teeth and delivered an axe-like chop with his fan. Asuka deflected the blow with both swords, causing a loud clang that shook her bones. Using the hooked tips of her swords, Asuka grabbed Naruto's fan and gave him a firm tug, removing his weapon and tossing it aside. Now that his fan was gone, Naruto pulled out his gauntlet blade and swung it at Asuka's head. Asuka ducked to avoid getting cut, but Naruto pursued her and pushed her toward the edge of the ravine. Asuka raised her sword to defend herself from Naruto's blows, but Naruto persisted in pushing through, even as his blade clanged against her handguard. Not letting the loss of one sword stop her, Asuka raised her other weapon and slashed at Naruto after Naruto kicked her wrist, causing her to lose her grip and drop her sword. Naruto screamed in agony as a burning sensation raced up his back after a slash across his back tore through his muscles and cut one of his kidneys. Asuka was pushed even closer to the ravine's edge by Naruto's kick to the chest. With a river of blood coursing down his spine, Naruto realized he had to use his next attack to bring this to a close. With his blade ready, Naruto charged in, and Asuka was waiting for him. Asuka swung at Naruto, who ducked beneath her sword. Approaching her, Naruto slashed her arm, severing her triceps, and then stabbed Asuka in the chest. In a desperate move, Asuka diverted Naruto's arm with her other arm so that it would pierce her shoulder, an inch above her heart, rather than her heart. Asuka coughed up blood and met Naruto's eyes. Asuka decided to take Naruto with her if she was going to die, as she grabbed his arm and pulled him down as she was about to fall back into the ravine. Anyone who fell in would drown because the water was moving too quickly for them to use the walk on water method. The water was rushing down below at a rapid pace. Now that he was hanging over the edge, Naruto thought to himself, little shit, but Asuka was holding a firm grip on his arm as he attempted to remove his blade from her shoulder. Asuka's eyes widened as Naruto realized that she was actually grabbing his gauntlet rather than his arm. "Have a nice trip," he said. With his other hand, Naruto quickly reached and broke the latch holding the gauntlet on his hand. Asuka fell back into the rushing river below, while Naruto fell backward onto the ground. After hearing her scream and seeing Asuka struggle to keep her head above water, Naruto dashed over to the edge. Her screams stopped after a short while as she was carried away by the strong currents, her blood leaving a red trail in the white water. Weakly, Naruto said, I did it." As he started to feel dizzy, he collapsed to his side. Naruto nodded as the Kyuubi remarked, "Kid, I'm healing your wounds but you lost a lot of blood. You need to get to a doctor or you'll die." "Naruto," a voice called out to him. Temari was approaching him, and Naruto snapped to attention as he saw him. "Naruto, are you okay? Where is the other one?" Temari asked, skidding to a stop next to Naruto. Naruto muttered, I stabbed her and she fell into the river down below." Babe, how's my back?" he asked, turning over. Temari almost passed out as she watched Naruto's wound mend. She observed his kidney realign, and as his muscles reconnected, a sizzling and squishing sound was produced. Temari questioned, "It's healing. Is the fox doing it?" And Naruto nodded. "Why? Yeah, but I lost a low." Naruto started talking before passing out and having Temari pick him up. As she seized him, Temari yelled, "Naruto. Don't worry. I'll get you help," she added, putting him over her shoulder. "This is going to suck," Temari thought to herself as she stood on her injured leg. Lady Koyuki's castle is a few miles away, she thought, ignoring the excruciating pain in her leg. Alongside Obito, Karen, Katsu, and Kurumi. When Katsu slammed her hands onto the ground and said, "Ice style, ice spikes shot out and started to move toward Itachi. When Itachi saw this, he gestured with his hands. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Itachi fired a fireball at the approaching ice spikes, causing a collision that stopped the jutsu but did not stop Katsu from performing another series of hand signals. Katsu threw dozens of ice sparrows in Itachi's direction and said, "Ice style, ice sparrows." The birds started to fly while making hand signals. Fire style. Phoenix. Karen used her chakra chains to try to slow Itachi down so that Katsu's ice sparrows could hit him. Itachi started off by having to dodge a chain that flew past his face. Itachi, however, was dodging her blows with ease thanks to his Sharingan and superior skills. He even slid under another swipe from Karen's chains. But as he did, Katsu's ice sparrows closed in, and Itachi drew his sword and Sharingan to cut down the approaching ice projectiles before they could harm him. Seeing that Itachi was preoccupied, Kurumi charged in alongside her father to attack Itachi from behind and eliminate him. While Obito held his gunbai fan, Kurumi had her sword at the ready to strike. After slaying the final ice sparrow, Itachi turned to face Obito and Kurumi. As Kurumi slashed at Itachi, he raised his sword to deflect her blow. Itachi backflipped over the fan as Obito lunged forward, striking him with his fan. Itachi landed in a crouch and launched a counterattack. Kurumi dashed in to assist her father, drawing her sword in an attempt to kill Itachi, as Itachi charged in and slashed at Obito, who used his gunbai to block it. When Itachi saw this, he kicked Obito out of the way and spun around, stabbing Kurumi in the left shoulder about 3 inches deep. Kurumi leapt back as she felt the cold steel penetrate her shoulder. Itachi's blow was accurate, and Kurumi's wound started to bleed profusely. Itachi struck Kurumi's artery with his Sharingan and expert blade skills, causing a minor but potentially fatal wound. Kurumi dropped her sword, put her hand on her gushing wound, and then fell onto her butt as her skin paled. Oh god," Kurumi exclaimed as she started to lose feeling in her legs. As she charged Itachi with his gunbai, Obito yelled, "Kurumi!" And, "Itachi, you bastard!" Katsu saw Kurumi fall and rushed over, while Karen skidded to either side. Karen said, "Kurumi, are you okay?" My arm." "I can't feel it," Kurumi said, breathing heavily and crying as tears started to well up in her eyes. Katsu said, "Karen, move." "Kurumi, move your hand." Kurumi did so, revealing her gushing wound. After applying some simple ice jutsu to the wound, Katsu said, "Okay, that should slow the bleeding, but we need to get her to a hospital right away." Itachi felt his eyes burning and his vision becoming worse as Obito's strikes became more intense. Thinking, "I'm at my limit. I better retreat while I still can," Itachi continued to fight. Itachi leapt away from Obito and gestured. Itachi said, "I'm taking my leave, Obito," as a swarm of crows surrounded him. "Until we meet again," he added, before vanishing from sight. "Hey, come back here," yelled Obito. Kurumi yelled, "Daddy," and Obito instantly became worried instead of angry when he turned to see Kurumi still lying on the ground. In an attempt to calm his daughter, Obito ran over and slid next to her. Kurumi smiled until her eyes started to roll to the back of her head. "Kurumi? Kurumi!" Obito exclaimed as he grabbed her. Karen said, "She passed out." "We need to," she started. "Obito-sensei, guys help," Temari yelled. As everyone turned to see her carrying an unconscious Naruto, Temari exclaimed, "We got to, what the hell happened here?" Temari hurried over as Obito yelled, "No time, come here." A moment later, Obito used his vortex to take everyone away. Alongside Asuka. Seeking her aunt Akeno in the woods, a drenched Asuka staggered along the forest floor, clutching her bleeding wound and trying not to faint from blood loss. While doing so, she came across a sizable forest that appeared to have been cut in half. Asuka walked along the fallen trees, asking herself, what happened here? After a few minutes, she saw something that completely shocked her. Her aunt's arm protruding from beneath a downed tree. She recognized Akeno by the color of her former Anbu uniform. Asuka went over and reached down to take hold of her aunt's cold, lifeless hand. As she did so, Asuka started to cry and tremble. Akeno thought, "Daddy, Auntie," realizing that she was now alone in the world. Asuka turned around and took out a kunai when she heard a branch snap abruptly from behind her. Asuka noticed a striking man with black hair and onyx colored eyes, sporting a slashed Konoha headband and what appeared to be Anbu armor. Itachi asked the injured girl, "Do you need any help?" Asuka finally passed out from the coldness of her wet clothes and the blood loss. "I guess I can take you to Lord Danzo," Itachi said as he approached the girl and picked her up. He then vanished with Asuka in a murder of crows. A megacure. Jiraiya with her. Jiraiya smiled and said, "So, if you could possibly help us out in case something happens, that would be great." Nagato and Konan both gave him disappointed and angry looks. Jiraiya began to perspire upon seeing the two of them. Jiraiya has been searching the elemental nations for allies for the past 9 months because he needed them because Danzo's influence and popularity in Konoha were growing and Orochimaru was still at large. And it's not going too well so far. Korea is facing difficulties, and you come to us for assistance. The apprentices you left behind and haven't checked on in nearly 25 years, Nagato said, glaring at him with a look of rage in his Rinnegan eyes. With his ire building, Nagato questioned, "Did you really think that we would help you?" "Well, kinda yeah," Jiraiya shrugged. He then leapt backward in time to avoid getting hit by 6 paper shuriken that lodged in the spot where he was standing. With her amber eyes glaring at her former sensei, Konan said, "You were a fool to come here, sensei. You weren't here when Yahiko died, or when Danzo and Hanzo joined forces to kill us," he added. Then Jiraiya unleashed a wave of murderous intent on Konan. Jiraiya yelled, "Danzo did what?" Konan and Nagato looked on in shock. "That one. "I'd motherfucker killed one of my students," Jiraiya yelled. In order to calm down, Jiraiya inhaled deeply, clenched his fists, and said, "I did not know about that. But if I had, I would have come back to help. I left you three so you can find your own paths and rebuild your country," Jiraiya replied, "but it seems like I was wrong. Just another failure in my ever-expanding list. I'm sorry," he replied. Upon hearing this, Nagato sighed and said, "I apologize as well." Jiraiya said, "Look, I know you're mad, but I just want to make amends and make sure nothing else happens." Suddenly, a toad materialized and a puff of smoke billowed from the air. "Lord Jiraiya, it's an emergency," said the toad. "Naruto Uzumaki has been attacked in Spring Country. And is injured pretty bad," it stated. "What?" Jiraiya exclaimed, startled, "Take me to him." "Wait, did it just say Uzumaki?" asked Nagato, causing Jiraiya to widen her eyes in shock at his toad's revelation of top secret knowledge. Jiraiya replied, "I can explain. Countryside Hospital in Springdale." As Naruto lay on a bed covered in bandages and having several IVs pumping blood and fluids into him, he glanced over to see Kurumi resting in a different bed. Kurumi appeared more pale and was breathing shallowly than he did, even though she was unconscious. Sango and Obito were sitting next to Kurumi, each clutching her hand. "Oh baby girl," Obito whimpered, staring down at his unconscious daughter. When Karen noticed this, she reached up to console him by placing her hand on his shoulder. Naruto tried to sit up and uttered the words, "Damn it," but he fell back down when he felt pain in his lower back, where he had been cut. "Gah, damn nerves," Naruto moaned. With bandages covering her face and arms, Temari urged Naruto to stay down. "You shouldn't try to exert yourself. You took a lot of damage and lost a lot of blood," Temari said, to which Naruto nodded. Clutching his fists, Naruto apologized, "It just sucks. I thought we were safe here. I let my guard down." To grab everyone's attention, Naruto yelled, "Fuck. I let those two psychos find us. Now look at what happened," he said. Temari grabbed Naruto's hand and said, "It's not your fault." Obito huffed, catching Naruto's attention. "She's right, Naruto. If anything, we can chalk it up to Itachi coming after us as just bad luck on top of your bad luck." "Still, I should have been more alert," Naruto replied. "I won't make that mistake again. I won't let anything put Temari in danger like this again," he replied. At this, Temari flushed and bent to plant a kiss on Naruto's cheek. "I'm sure you won't," Temari grinned, and then there was a loud poof of smoke in the center of the space. Obito assumed his taijutsu stance, Karen grabbed Kurumi's sword, and Temari grabbed her fan. But after the smoke cleared, Jiraiya was there with a blue-haired woman who had several piercings and a red-haired man. "Kid," Jiraiya yelled as he rushed over. "I came as soon as I could. Goddammit, don't scare me like." Jiraiya hugged Naruto before Temari struck him in the face. Temari yelled, "He's hurt you, jackass," as Jiraiya collapsed to the ground and Naruto returned to the bed, clenching his teeth. Naruto whimpered, almost bursting into tears of pain, "Oh man, that hurt really bad." Jiraiya apologized to Naruto and then to Temari, asking, "Are you okay?" "No, I'm not," Naruto replied. "Me and Temari got attacked by that psycho girl and her aunt, Obito and Kurumi got attacked by Itachi, and to top it all off more of those Anbu assholes were here but those two crazy women killed them," he replied. With wide eyes, Jiraiya said, "Itachi was here?" "Yes," Obito responded, grabbing his attention. "He attacked Kurumi and me as well when we were trying to bring Naruto and Temari here." Pointing at Nagato and Konan, Obito exclaimed, "Wait, hold up. Who the fuck are these people?" "We are the Omegakure leaders and former Jiraiya apprentices," Nagato declared. "My name is Nagato Uzumaki, and this is my friend Konan," he added, drawing attention from Karen and Naruto. Naruto interrupted, saying, "Wait, Uzumaki. Are you serious?" Astonished, Karen said, glancing at the pale man with the purple ringed eyes, "We're Uzumaki too." As he approached Naruto and Karen, Nagato said, "I know. Jiraiya told me about the two of you. He explained about your plight, Naruto, and I must say Konoha is looking a lot worse in my eyes." Naruto questioned, "Wait, what does that mean?" Konan sat at the edge of Naruto's bed and said, Lord Jiraiya asked us to assist him in case of any future happening in Konoha, but when we heard about you and what Konoha tried to do to you, we decided to come and verify a few things. Jiraiya nodded as Naruto said, "Wait, is this why you've been gone for so long, pervy sage?" "Yeah, I've been traveling around in order to find allies against Danzo and Orochimaru," Jiraiya replied, "and so far, it hasn't been good," he replied. Sango stated, "How bad could it be?" As he spoke up. "Well, Kumo didn't let me enter, Iwa tried to kill me, Kusa is a no-go, Taki and undecided," Iron said. "Fuck off, and Yuga has nobody willing to help," Jiraiya stated. "So if anything happens, we're on our own," he replied. "Really, damn it," Naruto moaned. At this, Temari raised her voice, rubbing her chin. "Well, Suna has Kiri and Spring as allies, but we are not on speaking terms with Konoha. And if we get involved, we'll be open to attack from Iwa," Temari said, adding, "and that's not counting Orochimaru and whatever he has planned." Jiraiya remarked, "But forget about that for now. What I'm wondering is how Naruto got so messed up," to which Naruto recoiled. "I was just following your instructions. Not using any of my techniques," Naruto replied, "no Rasengan, no shadow clones. I was only using the techniques I learned in Suna and from you," he replied. Jiraiya gave him a forehead slap. Jiraiya yelled, "I told you not to use them unless it's an emergency," and Naruto received a tick mark. "Well, your definition of emergency is different from mine," said Naruto. "Mine is like if I run into Orochimaru or if Gaara goes crazy again. Not some little girl whose life I ruined," he yelled. "What did you do?" Nagato asked, glancing at Naruto. Meanwhile, Sakura and Kakashi are in Kiri. Sakura was not using her super strength because she did not want to seriously hurt Kakashi during their fast paced taijutsu spar. As Kakashi was backing up and swerving to avoid Sakura's punches, Sakura used her boxing technique to throw a series of jabs at him. Sakura converted one of her strikes into an uppercut, barely missing Kakashi's chin. Instead of taking the punch, Kakashi countered by striking Sakura in the face. Sakura, however, parried the blow and grabbed Kakashi's arm. Sakura shifted her fighting technique and threw Kakashi onto the ground with a judo throw. She then tried to stomp on Kakashi's head with her raised foot. When Kakashi noticed this, he grabbed Sakura's foot, twisted, and wrapped his legs around hers to bring her to the ground. As he put pressure on her knee and joint, Kakashi said, "Tap out," and locked her in a leg lock. Sakura struggled for a few seconds before tapping. Kakashi felt it release and rolled away before Sakura got back up and said, "Damn it," adding, "I should have broken out," to which Kakashi grinned. "Well, it's just another thing we need to practice on," Kakashi replied. "Tomorrow we will work on breaking out of holds," he responded. Sakura fixed her hair and said, "Thank you for training with me for the month, Kakashi-sensei. I still have 3 weeks and a lot of ground to cover." Kakashi nodded. Sakura nodded as Kakashi cracked his neck and said, "You never stop learning, Sakura." "Okay, then. Let's try some genjutsu," Sakura replied. Sakura grinned and said, "Let's get started." Alongside Lee and Hinata. Lee encouraged Hinata to keep going, saying, "You can do it," as she ran. Lee and Hinata had decided to work together for a month prior to the exam. As they are both taijutsu specialists, they can work together as training partners. Lee can also work on Hinata's physicality while Hinata is training. I'm trying," Hinata gasped as she followed Lee, stopping a few yards in front of her. "This is torture," Hinata thought to herself. Lee yelled, "Hinata, come on, just a few more feet. Tap into your inner youth." Hinata nodded. "Inner youth, inner youth, inner youth," Hinata exclaimed as she exerted herself. After crossing the finish line, she started to breathe heavily, thinking that the race was finally over. Lee congratulated Hinata on finishing the warm-up. "Let's take a break before we get to sparring," he said. Hinata nodded and moved to get a water bottle from her bag. Hinata remarked, "Lee, I wouldn't call 6 hours of intense exercise a warm-up," to which Lee laughed. "It's funny, Neji used to say the same thing," Lee remarked. However, as soon as he noticed Hinata becoming a little melancholy, Lee instantly regretted what he had said. "Hinata, I apologize. I didn't mean to." Lee started, but Hinata waved her hands. Hurriedly, Hinata said, "Oh, there's no need to apologize, Lee. It's just," Hinata paused before continuing. It's just, when I thought me and Neji were finally rebuilding our relationship it all fell apart, Hinata stated as she looked down. But when Naruto returned after the retrieval mission after killing Sasuke, Neji returned back to his old ways, said Hinata. Because I stood up for Naruto and myself, now things between us are even worse, Hinata started, flushing and poking her fingers. When Lee said, "You loved Naruto," Hinata became alarmed and wide-eyed. How did you know? A terrified Hinata exclaimed. Lee made Hinata feel ashamed by saying, "Everyone knew." "I knew, your team knew, nearly most of our close associates knew," he continued. Hinata covered her face as Lee remarked, "I'm even sure Naruto knew to a certain extent." Hinata whimpered, "No," and Lee laughed. "Alright Hinata, I'm sure Naruto is watching over you right now, and I'm sure he's going to be cheering for you during the finals," Lee said, placing his hand on her shoulder. He grinned like a good guy. With a smile on her face, Hinata said, "Thank you, Lee. That was very sweet." She then got back up and asked, "Should we get back to training?" Lee nodded. "Alright, let's get started," Lee said, leaping backward and assuming his taijutsu stance. "Are you ready?" he inquired, as Hinata engaged her Byakugan and assumed her taijutsu stance as well. "I am," Hinata declared with a voice full of resolve. Springtime in the country. 2 days later. Kurumi let out a moan when she opened her eyes and noticed the bright lights hanging from the ceiling. She also groaned because she was feeling cold and that her body felt heavy. A familiar voice called out to Kurumi, who turned to see her parents, Temari, Karen, and Naruto lying in a bed beside her. "Kurumi, honey, you're awake," Sango greeted her with a smile and a kiss on the forehead. Kurumi asked, her voice hoarse from lack of use, "How long?" Kurumi nodded as Obito asked, "Were you out?" "You were awake there for 2 days, but I don't think you remember that," Kurumi remarked. Kurumi asked, "Am I okay? Am I going to recover?" At that moment, Koyuki and her doctor entered the room, carrying a clipboard. Kurumi nodded as Koyuki hurried over to grasp her hand and said, "Kurumi, oh thank goodness you're awake. I am so sorry for this happening. I had no idea how these terrorists got into the country." Kurumi said, "Wait, terrorists," perplexed, "we were only attacked by one guy." Kurumi's eyes widened as Temari spoke up and said, "Actually, Kurumi, me and Naruto were both attacked while you and your dad were attacked." Naruto caught everyone's attention by saying, "But hey, you don't have to worry about that because those 2 psycho bitches are dead." "Man, I feel good, like a looming thread is off my shoulders." Naruto smiled. Temari yelled, "Naruto!" which made Naruto jump. "That is no way to speak of the dead. Pray to Kami tonight for forgiveness," Temari continued, and Naruto gave a forceful nod. "Yes, ma'am," Naruto replied, appearing a little afraid of his girlfriend at this point. Obito laughed at Naruto's cowardly behavior from Temari. "Hey, pussy," Obito uttered before Sango gave him a slap on the back of the head. "Ow, babe," Obito whimpered to a furrowed Sango, causing Kurumi to giggle. After feeling a sharp pain in her shoulder, Kurumi examined it. "My shoulder is pretty messed up huh," she remarked, glancing at the bloody bandage. "I guess no finals for me," she added, sounding a little dejected. Karen sighed and moaned. "Lady Koyuki's doctor said I can help speed up your recovery," and the doctor stepped forward. "Actually no," Karen said, drawing Kurumi's attention. "Lady Karen told me about her special healing ability," the doctor remarked. "I believe you should be well enough to participate in the finals with 1 bite treatment every 2 days," Kurumi said, looking at Karen in shock. Kurumi said, "Really, Karen? You'd do that for me," to which Karen nodded. Karen looked away and blushed. "I hate getting bit for my chakra, but if it's to help out a friend, then I'll do it." Kurumi grinned weakly and said, "Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate it." Karen grinned back. "Oh, and that's not all," Jiraiya grinned, standing atop a toad in his signature pose as a puff of smoke suddenly burst forth in the middle of the room. "Oh my god," thought Karen. Kurumi thought, "You've got to be shitting on me." "Pervy Sage," a startled Naruto exclaimed, "I thought you went back with Nagato and the paper lady." Jiraiya laughed. "I, Jiraiya the Gallant, Toad Summoner and Legendary Sannin, will train you 3 for the finals of your Chunin exams," he boasted, hopping off the toad. Well, I finished my work kiddies and now I'm back after my long absence, he said, striking a pose. Oh my god, Naruto exclaimed. No fucking way you pervert, Kurumi and Karen angrily yelled. In aim. Alongside Conan and Nagato. Nagato and Conan were seated alone at a table, going over every piece of evidence Jiraiya had collected in addition to multiple testimonies. From Temari, Obito, and Naruto. Nagato sighed as he set down a file on the missing kids that Jiraiya had connected to Danzo. Conan asked, "What are your thoughts, Nagato?" And Nagato turned to face her. Conan, Nagato got started. I think that this is a problem that not only affects Konoha and Naruto, but possibly every other shinobi village, said Nagato. And if I do this, I'll need your help and support, said Nagato. Conan smiled reassuringly and said, Nagato, you will always have my support. What is your idea? We are going to the Chunin exam finals, Nagato announced, causing her eyes to widen. We will also be having conversations with the Hokage, Mizukage, and Kazekage. Our time of isolation has come to an end, Nagato stated. It's time for us to form an alliance against this rising threat, he stated.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.